Walking the streets of the big city.
Viva la raza! Welcome back, Full Heel Podcast. I am your host, Rafael Chairez, and I'm pretty excited for this one, but first and foremost, let me introduce my guest.
Si, senor.
What's going on? Hey, Ryan, that's racist, all right? I'm not going to take that this episode. This is an Eddie Guerrero episode, and I will have some goddamn respect for Eddie Guerrero. You can hate on Canelo all you want, but I will not have it for Eddie Guerrero.
But for the real deal, for the real guys. I'm not. I was excited for this one to go back and see. It actually kind of when we first started doing this a month ago, and before life took over.
Before I banned you for going against Canelo.
Yeah.
Your band's lifted, everybody. It's been a month.
I watched all the matches and it actually put me down a rabbit hole of just because after I had to bounce the first two times, I ended up going back and checking out a whole bunch of other Eddie matches from other eras. So it was kind of cool to go back and see his stuff that I had never seen before. So, and even stuff that I had seen, just reliving it.
Mm-hmm. I went a little bit, like I would go 3 and like a couple before and after the pay-per-views to kind of get a feel and relive the feuds a little bit of Eddie in WCW, because we covered most WCW and then we'll cover towards the end. We kind of skip out on the middle of the WWF run or WWE run, but we will cover parts of it. We'll touch on the career. But no, I've been really excited for this one too. It took us a while. We announced that we were gonna do it, but I forgot what happened. Your wife had something to do, so we had a reschedule.
Yeah, it went from because we just had our election yesterday, so Kara had gone to some debates, and because we switched from Wednesday to Tuesday, and everything was cool, but just as we had decided to do the switch, Kara was so used to Wednesday, and Tuesdays were always free, so she had plans, so I had to cancel on that one, and then I forget what happened in the second week. I think Kara had other plans or something happened, and then I had to bounce off that one. But last week it was the LOD.
Yeah, me and Jeff did LOD. God damn! Learn about Jim Cornette a little bit. And then, so that first week that we didn't do it, that's when I started off my AEW breakdowns, which have been pretty good. If I say so myself, I'm pretty much tooting my own horn, but people have been downloading them week by week.
Yeah, I've been very. I don't know if it's because I'm not doing the podcast as much, but I've been kind of lazy on a lot of my wrestling. I haven't been watching as much live stuff as I was watching, so I've only caught, I think, the first and third or first and second episodes of AEW.
Don't worry about it, Holmes.
So
Full Heel Podcast got you covered, brother.
I go to the review and I'm like, I'm good.
Dude,
half an hour saves my time.
AEW's been keeping me super entertained. I want to see where the storylines are going. I'm excited for tomorrow. Break that shit down real quick. But Eddie Guerrero today, dude. If it weren't for Razor Ramon, and pretty much my introduction to wrestling was kind of Razor Ramon. That's why, and he was portrayed as a Latino character. He's not really Latino. He's a white dude.
He's from Cuba.
But so I liked Razor to begin with, so he was one of my favorites to begin with. Eddie would be number one if it weren't for Razor.
This is how I got Brett and Austin. I always go back and forth. It's like one of those things where it's like I always have to say it's just a 1A, 1B, and they're interchangeable because it's the fact it's like when I found out that you liked Razor more than Eddie, I was like, or even Ray, I was just like, oh, he liked Razor, really? Scott Hall, that's like, it caught me off guard. But then to
Dude,
hear the,
that's what got me into wrestling.
and that's the thing, like hearing the reason behind it,
Well,
and
like
then like,
so, like I liked Ray. So we've been doing the podcast, and I liked Razor, and I followed him into WCW. So
right, that's right.
I kind of have to put Razor Scott Hall in front of Eddie because it's kind of what
You
introduced me to
you
Eddie
you
in
followed his whole
WCW.
career. Yeah, he led you to, and that's the thing with me with Bret Hart. And I feel like Bret was the thing that got me really into watching it. But then Austin really took over for me. That was where I stopped watching Bret. Was when I was really into like watching wrestling, which is where I think that Austin takes over because I didn't get WCW as regularly. Whereas with you, you have the advantage of being able to catch both of them, so you could follow both careers when they were together, and go back and check out some of Eddie's earlier stuff that you didn't see when you were a Scott Hall Razor Ramon fan.
Yeah, dude, Eddie. It's funny. Eddie reminds you like of a Mexican uncle, just a cool Mexican uncle, the loud Mexican uncle, the drunk, but not the annoying drunk, the fun drunk, the festive drunk at the parties, not at home beating his wife.
Well, they always refer to him they always called him like, oh, they're Eddie, that that's Chavo's uncle. They always referred to it like, they made sure any chance they had to say uncle with Eddie. Yeah, whenever they could put Chavo in the ring with him, it was always uncle, uncle, uncle. They really drove that home a lot more than in other angles. Like this, so it's funny to hear you say that because of how he was portrayed in some ways.
Yeah, dude. No, he's 100% a Mexican uncle, stereotypical, and not in a bad way. He's Mexican. He 100% personifies being Mexican, looking Mexican, acting Mexican. Just the Latino heat, man. He was 100%.
Well, I mean that whole LWO angle was because of he was sick and tired of the luchadors getting the back burner to the NWO, and even when the NWO was on the front burner and everyone else was on the back burner, the luchadors were put even further back. Like they were put on the back burner at simmer instead of on boil. And so it is kind of cool to like have learned what I have so far about him. And it's definitely something I'm going to keep on watching, and that kind of. It was a really interesting little bit that I got to learn about Eddie that I didn't know before. So
I just got to learn about Eddie from the video games, and then doing more history with this and going back and checking out the matches and being like, well, why the hell? What's this about? And then be like, oh, okay. And they're like, oh, well, that ties into the video game, which I guess we should just kind of get into it. I want to check the levels, but I can't fucking find the link on my phone. I'll find that right now. But Eddie was born in El Paso, October 9th. He was also born in October. That's pretty awesome.
He's from Texas?
Oh, El Paso, yeah.
Oh, I thought so. He's actually
Mexican American. So
okay.
he's born in America.
Oh, okay. I did not know that.
Yeah. So I didn't realize it till I'm realizing it right now. A week away from my birthday, which is pretty awesome. And he's one of 4 boys, but one of 6 kids. So he's got 2 sisters, 4 brothers. He's the youngest of 4 brothers in the wrestling family. I didn't name them all here, but
wait, one of 4 brothers. Wouldn't he has 1 sister then, right?
2 sisters. He's one of 6.
But he. Oh, sorry. I thought you said he was one with 4 brothers. One of
one of 4.
Misheard that. Sorry.
Yeah, it's that whole like not in the questioning.
Yeah.
When they test you and shit, yeah, I get you. But yeah, so he's the youngest and by like 14 years. So like,
I always wondered why him and Chavo were so seemingly close in age, and they talked about Eddie's dad and Chavo's dad and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And when you see, it makes a lot more sense when you realize how close they're born together and the age difference between the birth of Eddie and his siblings, because it didn't seem like Chavo and Eddie should be as close as they were.
No. Well, he's the.
To be uncle and cousin, I should
Mhm,
say,
mhm.
or uncle nephew.
Yeah. No. Well, they're so close in age, just because, like I mentioned, Eddie's the youngest of the four brothers. 14 years away from his closest brother. So the third brother, he's 13 years away from him. 13 years younger.
That's wild.
That's why. So he's part of three generations of wrestling, and a lot of I've heard it mentioned a lot, and this is it's wrestling, but the first family of wrestling, Gory Guerrero was wrestling in 37, 34,
Right.
and then Eddie's dad, and then I think all his brothers under him or something like that. I'm not exactly sure on the family tree. I could probably check it out if I really wanted to, but it's about Eddie Guerrero, not the Guerrero family. But
Yeah, there's not too many third generation superstars, and if they are third generation, there's a lot of like random connections, like how Peter Maivia and The Rock, like they
mhm.
were a lot older than where or they were a lot younger than where Eddie's grandfather would have started off.
Yeah, so let's see. Gory Guerrero, the patriarch of the Guerrero wrestling family, was one of the early pioneers in Mexican lucha libre and has been credited with invention of the camel clutch. Gory married Herlinda, whose three brothers, Enrique, Mario, and Sergio, were all professional wrestlers. Together they had 6 children, which would be Chavo Guerrero Sr., father of Chavo Guerrero, Mando Guerrero, Hector Guerrero, and Eddie Guerrero. Um, I'm
Isn't
guessing
it
it
Isn't it Hector? Shouldn't you have a little accent on that?
Hector,
There you go. Yeah.
Hector Guerrero. Viva la raza. I'll give you Spanish if you want. I'll give you the. I'm fluent in Spanish, but when you're
I barely speak English.
when you're in los United States, you gotta keep it up, man. You gotta keep up the facade, eh? Holmes. Um, let's see. So yeah, I guess the three generations would be because Chavo is also a wrestler. Gory, Chavo, and Chavo Jr.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Because Eddie, I guess, would just be the second in the
Yeah,
generations.
that's weird. I didn't think about that. I was thinking more like Eddie was the third generation, but yeah, he would fall into second generation. That's weird.
Um, let's see. He began wrestling with a mask as Máscara Mágica in CMLL from 1987 to 1992. Before leaving, though, he unmasked himself because CMML had creative control, so they weren't letting him leave with the mask. And
I think they talked about that in they talked about it in one of the matches that we covered. I think it was the Ray one, but they talked about how controversial it was that when Eddie was fighting there, he had just like ripped off his mask altogether and just said like and like it was such like and the honor of wearing the mask in Mexico, uh, how he became like one of like the big heel, a renegade, and whatnot by removing his mask at a live event and whatnot.
yeah, because so the thing is with Mexican luchadors, it's an honor thing, and you're supposed to lose your mask if you are to be unmasked.
Right.
Eddie decided to take it off, and I think actually he got attacked by a bunch of the luchadors before leaving the promotion.
Oh
As,
damn.
as part of the angle of because it's
Oh,
a whole
okay.
thing. It's like you're not supposed to do that. It's an honor thing. We've had Mexican wrestlers buried with their masks. That's not a buried alive match. Like when they die, they
Yeah.
get buried with their masks on. El Santo never fucking gave up his gimmick. He never gave up his mask. He was said to never be seen in public without his mask. No one is to know his identity. Well, besides his family and the promoters, but other than that, known as like it's a whole honor thing. So Eddie is I don't know if he's one of the first because I'm not too. I should do more fucking studying on AAA and old school Mexican wrestling to find out more about some of my favorite wrestlers. But it's a rare thing for a Mexican masked wrestler to unmask himself.
Right.
We've
Yeah.
we've seen Ray get unmasked and he put the mask back on. He's like, "Fuck that, I'm putting it back on."
Yeah. I always love that when he jumped to WWF and they're like, he has the mask. I'm like, but the last time I saw you,
Yeah.
like, don't pretend.
Mm-hmm.
We all know.
So from there, after getting unmasked, he jumps to AAA, 1992 to 1994, where he teamed with El Hijo del Santo. They formed La Pareja Atómica, the atomic pair, forming the old pair that his father, Gory, and El Original Santo had formed.
That's cool.
So they reformed that in Mexico, and pretty much for the 4 years there, that's what he was doing. Also, through 93 to 96, New Japan Pro Wrestling, where he wrestled under the mask Black Tiger. I don't think they called him El Tigre Negro there, because it was New Japan. So
Yeah, they probably would have said like Tiger Mask and Black Mask and just said, well, actually, they probably said in Japanese.
Tiger Mask.
Yeah.
What is it? Black Tiger.
And now who's racist?
What? I'm
that wasn't Japanese.
I'm ethnic. All right, I can do that. For some reason, minorities can do that.
They can get away with it.
Yeah. I have no problem with it. Let's see. So 1995, he goes to ECW. You know, he's also New Japan at this time.
EC Dub.
So this is where it ties into my childhood. Watching Scott Hall jump over to WCW, the video game, somewhere over there, I could dig through it. And WCW versus NWO World Tour, where it had so many wrestlers, and at that time I had no idea why. I was watching WCW at the time. Eddie Guerrero's there, but you also have New Japan Pro wrestlers there under different names and under different organizational names just for creative control, and so WCW didn't have to pay. But I was introduced to a lot of the different organizations unknowingly, just through picking them. Be like, oh, well, this guy's cool, so I'll pick this guy. Oh, this guy's cool, so I'll pick this guy. So that game makes sense a lot now because I see how wrestlers would jump from ECW to AAA to NWA to WCW all within the same years.
Like ECW was known for sending, like, they had like I want to say it went from probably like 95 to 96, maybe 94, 96, where they would put a lot of guys onto Raw. And I remember seeing a lot of these, like the ECW was invading Raw. They had random, but it was just a way for Vince was able to create storylines that would give him viewership and would also give ECW more eyes so that people might check them out. So that was how I first saw ECW. But
so I didn't know that until I started watching.
I could never see that. Yeah, like I remember watching it on Raw, but I could never watch ECW. I could not. I couldn't access ECW until about 98, 99. So it was like well gone.
That's so awesome, dude. So if those of you guys that don't know and are kind of confused what me and Ryan are talking about, WWF had a deal with ECW at this time where they were pretty much an enhancement talent for WWF, and WWF would send people down there.
Farm team. Yeah, it was like calling someone up and saying, hey, we're going to give you a shot, and then you go back down. And there were like, I remember Monday Night Raw, and it was Mr. Monday Night was Rob Van Dam, and he came out, and Jerry the King Lawler was involved. Like there's so many. You mentioned Something to Wrestle. There's so many episodes that reference Something to Wrestle or ECW and WWF counter promoting that I can't even name one episode to listen to. But for sure, the Taz one is a recent one. They talk pretty in depth about that early commingling that they did.
Yeah. Let's see. While in ECW, he wins the TV title upon his debut from Too Cold Scorpio. Later before leaving, he drops it to back to Too Cold Scorpio before going to WCW. Within this time, though, he does have some badass matches with Dean Malenko that I have broken down. I think in my first 6-match breakdown. Oh, no. If you go and check out the Jeff edition one of our 6 matches, that was the ECW one.
Yeah, that's right.
That was my first pick. It
That
was
was a good one.
Malenko versus Eddie, super young. Eddie comes out with his super badass Mexican jacket or Tex-Mex jacket. I guess it's not food, so not really Tex-Mex. Mexican American jacket. It's like a leather jacket and with the hanging down little. I forgot what colors it was. Yeah, little tassels. It's a cowboy thing, but Mexican.
I was gonna say I always remember Eddie. See, I knew Eddie Guerrero as being always Mexican in WCW and into the WWF, WWE days, but I have since he jumped ship and since all that stuff had happened, I've gone back over the years and checked a lot of his old stuff. And when he comes out in that jacket with the shoulder pads and it's all red, white, and blue, he comes out as he's Mexican, but he's full. He's I'm not really Mexican. I'm American guy. They tried so hard to get him to be a face by making him Eddie Guerrero, the American only. He's as white as you and me. So it's kind of I have to go back and check out some of those matches to see the tassels representing Mexican and American because
you kind of see it in the Otani match. He's super bicep. I forgot in what other one. He's got the super fucking mullet. Kind of comes out with a thick jacket, takes it off.
Yeah, a lot of the matches that I saw didn't have entrances, which sucks because I know him as either a T-shirt or the American jacket, but they're almost like what Sting used to wear. But
yeah, kind of like that.
So you can kind of see where WCW would have stolen the idea of instead of having a Mexican and American, we can just make him full-blooded American. Fucking Eric Bischoff. Someone should fire him. Oh wait.
Ooh, shots fired. Shots fired. Well, at least Pritchard got promoted to exec, but
yeah, it's all good.
I don't know, dude. I don't know if you saw this past this past Raw. They made Kane put on a shirt after I heard complaints that Vince McMahon was like, "What the hell is this shit?"
No, I didn't know.
What's wrong with that guy's body?
Oh God.
So this week he had a black shirt on, I guess to cover up either the tats or the fat bod.
Ugh.
So that's not good news for SmackDown or for Raw. If it's a one-off, which it better be, but I heard it was a big contract.
I have to go and check it out. I didn't see that.
I heard it was a big contract, so I don't know if they're already complaining about him and they're making him wear black shirts. Well, the first day they debuted him without a shirt, and now he has a black shirt on. So, and I heard complaints within this week, and it was funny because I saw him, and then I thought about it the next day or that day that I was watching it. And I was gonna do the breakdown. I'm like, wait a minute, they put a shirt on this guy, because he came out yesterday and he beat up Shelton Benjamin because Shelton came out. They're doing this whole angle where he came out and he's like, oh, so Kane gets a title shot because he came out and helped you. He's like, it's not about that. This is about family. And then he's like, oh yeah, well I trained Brock. Me and him were roommates at whatever, and I was his wrestling coach back when we were in college. We're family. And then Kane came out and beat the shit out of Shelton. It ties in, all right. We're talking about Rey Mysterio later.
So when Glenn Jacobs, when his term ends, do you think we're gonna see Kane versus Kane?
What? That would be pretty dumb. But
yeah. Oh, we did Taker versus Taker.
Yeah. Yeah. Touche.
Yeah.
You know what? Ryan, you're hired for creative.
There you go.
If I have a wrestling promotion, you're hired for creative.
I've heard how your creative goes, and I don't want to be in the same room.
I'm dying. Okay, so 95 takes off from WCW after having badass matches with Malenko, kind of showcasing himself. takes off to WCW. So we have WCW 95 pretty much to 2000 is his career there. His first pay-per-view was World War III. Before that, he was working kind of house shows. Moved up to World War III in 1995. After that, we have pretty much the Starrcade match, 1995, with the New Japan Pro Wrestling Cup. This is the Otani match. This is the one I picked. I picked the losing match, but it's probably one of his most highly rated matches.
I was gonna say, I was actually surprised at how many matches we picked where he lost, because normally we pick matches where the guys go over, but we picked a fair amount of matches where the guy actually lost.
Yeah, he took an L in this one, but not without putting on a badass performance.
Super good show.
Yeah.
And I was actually really impressed by Otani.
So if people don't know what I meant by the New Japan World Cup, it's a cup between WCW and New Japan where they have, I'm not exactly sure how many matches. I think actually I wrote it down. So this is why prep work really comes in handy. The WCW New Japan Pro Wrestling held an annual cup. They held it for like 2 or 3 years, I believe, before they dropped it. First match was Jushin Thunder Liger versus Benoit. Thunder Liger won. Second match, we had Koji Kanemoto versus Alex Wright. What? You guys don't know about that?
Yeah, you got to get back with the dancing fools.
Kaji Kanemoto wins, putting New Japan up 2-0. Lex Luger versus Masahiro Kano was after that. Lex Luger picks up the victory, making it 1 for WCW, 2 for New Japan. Johnny B. Bad versus Masa Saito. Johnny B. Bad picks up the victory, making it an even.
Mark Marrow. Woo!
Marco!
Marrow!
I gotta stop taking from them, but I've been listening to them way too much.
I actually yell out Marco Marrow all the time when I'm taking the kids to the trail.
Dude, man,
the kids they learn about Marco Polo, so we'll go for a trail walk, and Carlo will yell out Marco, and I'm like Marrow.
I gotta stop myself because I'm at work, I'm at home, and I'm like just doing nothing, just chilling or doing anything, and I'm like, do.
Oh. Because even though I really shouldn't be talking to customers certain ways, we just end up cursing just because it's a small independent cafe that I'm at, right? So customers come in, they're like, "Hey, Ryan, how's it going?" Like, "Goddamn, got these motherfuckers over here. They're making me chicken salad, but they don't put it in the double mayo, double onion. Come on."
I'm glad I can't do it because I'd be doing it a lot more. It just gets too raspy and my throat hurts, so I can't do it. The cornet.
Oh, I love doing the cornet. I love
too manly.
Just a little bit.
I'm too manly for it. That's why.
Well, goddamn! No, you're not.
So what was it? Johnny B. Bad, Mark Marrow. For those people that don't know, he was married to Sable, and then they got a divorce because Sable got super famous, and she's like, "Fuck you, I'm better than you. I'm out of here."
And
that's
then
pretty much what happened, guys.
Actually, a quick little side note. This is another something to wrestle, but Mark Marrow found out that Rena Sable started seeing another wrestler, and he got really fucking pissed after their divorce, and he demanded to find out who it was. And then he was told it was Brock Lesnar.
Good luck with
and
that.
he was, and apparently he was just like, "Oh, yeah, I'm so happy for that." Yeah, pretty much. He's like, "Good for them. I hope they find happiness."
Yeah.
He's like, "I'm out. I'm done."
Oh man, fucking A. So Johnny B. Bad evens it up for WCW. Then my match is up. Shinjiro Otani versus Eddie Guerrero. Like we mentioned, Eddie Guerrero loses. I guess I'll just finish talking about the tournament and then we'll get into the match. Randy Savage picks up the victory, evening things back up against Hiroyoshi Tenzan. I have dishonored my country by losing to the Macho Man Randy Savage. Yeah, dig it.
I shall snap into the slimmest of gyms.
He has snapped my Slim Jim. Which
All I can picture is Master Splinter when you do that voice. Honestly, man.
I have made another funny.
Oh, I dropped that one way too much. The kids still don't get that one.
So Randy Savage evens it out for Sting to take on Kensuke Sasaki. Sting wins. I didn't watch these matches, so I don't break any of them down. I just want to let you guys know about the tournament. I thought it was pretty interesting.
It's a great idea. It's a fun one for a cross promotion. Like this is what I've said. Like almost what UFC Bellator need right now in MMA. And I always wish that WCW and WF could have done. I always wish they did cross promotion matchups. And I just recently found out about this NJPW Cup. And when I found out about it, I'm like, fuck, like it was right there. Like they were able to make it work with one company. Like, why not just like, who cares? Put differences aside and just because you're seeing with AEW how much more the fans are involved and how much they're Bischoff's getting fired was only because of the product. They want the best product for the fans. You put together these cross promotion matches, the fans are the winners, and that's what you want, right? Like, who cares? Like, Goldberg goes over The Rock, Austin goes over Hogan. Who cares? Fans are gonna watch it. Your guys are gonna get a cut. Make it 50-50. No one has to get more than the other.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like they really could have worked something out, and especially finding out with the New Japan Cup.
Yeah, I was pretty intrigued by that, and especially, like I said, man, tying it back to the fucking video game. I was doing this before I knew I was doing it. That's how you would unlock characters or advance. You had to enter the tournaments with different organizations that were there, and each time you beat it, if I remember right, you would unlock a character. Eventually, the last one was a boxer that would just knock everyone out.
Mike Tyson, Punch Out.
Pretty much, but they couldn't call him Mike Tyson. They had,
right.
Dude, they had some badass shit. They had the Sultan, Rikishi's character, but
really?
They just stole him from WWF. They were he had the mask and everything, and he was kind of fat, and he had the little ponytail.
Well, I remember on Revenge when they had THQ Man and AKI Man, and they were just wizards. Like no matter, you could put the game on most difficult setting, and pick one of them, and you would just crush it in like a minute and a half.
So I guess we'll get into the Otani match. It's like I mentioned, it's rated one of Eddie's high star matches.
Really quick, I'll be 1 second.
Go ahead. Like I mentioned, it was part of the Cup. Eddie took an L during the Cup. Otani has some very, very good mat skills. I know it's wrestling or whatever, but he's showing to be the superior grappler in my opinion in this match, letting Eddie be the more high flying and show his luchador style, because that's going to be the story of the match. Otani's no joke. He's gonna wrestle with Eddie.
Yeah, like Eddie, they definitely are trying to sell like the luchador Eddie Guerrero, and so that I don't know Otani enough to know his skill sets, but yeah, he was definitely more like it was that traditional high flyer versus the grappler kind of matchup that we've seen time and time again.
But we also have Eddie. Eddie's.
Eddie on the ground is phenomenal.
I call Eddie a luchador guy, but that's not fair because his grappling is superior to so many other guys. His locks, his moves.
So well rounded. And that's the Mexican. Like, I don't know a lot about luchador stuff, but from I remember way back when watching on A&E, they do a documentary on wrestling, and it would show down in Mexico, and they were always on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I started tuning into WCW and see these guys fly, I'm like, oh shit, this is nothing like what I thought it was.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, this match seemed appropriate in the way that they wanted to tell it, because they wanted Eddie to be the high flying Mexican, because all Mexicans fly. Like that's just the
Yep.
angles that they were telling at the time. But Otani, he had a flying drop kick that like when I
Yeah, that was
saw
pretty. It was pretty.
when I saw when he climbed to the top rope, I'm like, oh, what's he gonna do? And I saw the drop, I'm like, oh, like it took me back. I was like, God damn, like that was
It
impressive.
looked like it hurt too.
Yeah, like it looked like he was just like never doing this again.
Yeah.
and then he jumped.
Yeah. Eddie's using the Boston Crab as well. I think he locks in the
Was it the Boston crab or a half crab? I
half crab.
could-
Half crab.
Okay.
I don't think he does the gory special here. I don't think what's his name lets him Otani.
No.
But Eddie's family is known for inventing a lot of holds. Like I think the Mexican surfboard's credited to them. The gory specials are credited to them.
They referenced that a lot. I
The
noticed
camel clutch is
a
referenced.
lot of these matches, he would lock we'll talk about them as we go, I'm sure, but a lot of the times you'd hear the announcer say, "Oh, and his uncle or oh, his father or his brothers," or they always referenced his family came up with that hold, which to me, I wasn't sure how much was story and how much was actually fact.
So
Based off the names of some of them, like Gory's obviously. I mean,
So the camel clutch. So here's a little story behind the camel clutch that I've heard. Not just, I've heard it from different spots over time on the internet. I forget who the Muslim character they were portraying in WWE when Eddie was there as well. The guy that,
Muhammad Hassan.
there we go. He was there. So his finisher was the camel clutch, but Eddie was there too, and the camel clutch was part of Eddie's moveset. So Eddie put in a camel clutch one day on one of the dudes. I'm not sure if it was him, but I think he put it on some other guy. And then in the back,
Oh, I've heard of this.
yeah,
story.
Hassan
Yeah.
was like, "Hey, next time ask permission for you to use my finisher." And I heard Eddie slap the shit out of him and said,
Yeah.
"My fucking dad invented that shit, you motherfucker." And like there was like kind of a little scuffle behind the scenes, and Eddie was super pissed and clearly disrespected by a younger wrestler there's a thing of respect within the wrestling community, within the wrestling brotherhood, not even community.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because whenever I hear like Eddie slapped the shit out of this guy, I forget what episode it was, a Full Heel, but I remember, or not Full Heel, sorry, that's us, that's you, sorry, Something to Wrestle. I heard that story, and I was like, oh, I can't believe Eddie would fucking slap him around, and then I started thinking like, wait a minute, I worked in kitchens, I've seen guys go up to a chef and say, hey, how about this for a recipe? And the chef fucking just stripped this guy down like bare naked with his words to the point where this guy was just like a skeleton walking away. So I'm like, it's an industry practice. It doesn't matter what you do. Like you respect the person that you respect the elder. You come up with an idea, or if you have an idea, you make a request. You don't make a statement.
I think I'm a respectful person. You have to learn respect, especially to be in a martial arts class. But
For sure.
Enough about respect. But yeah, no. So Eddie smacks Hassan for.
Actually, if I could be racist for 1 second, I literally thought the camel clutch. Okay, now listen. I was 6, maybe 7. I was first watching wrestling.
No, that shit comes from the fucking Middle East, bro.
Well, no, it was the Sergeant Slaughter Hulk Hogan WrestleMania story when Sergeant Slaughter was
fucking put you in the fucking camel fucking clutch and break your fucking back, you piece of shit.
When Sergeant Slaughter was using the camel clutch and he was with the Iron Sheik and Colonel Mustafa, I literally thought, like, okay, so in the Middle East, when a camel doesn't listen, you fucking just rip its neck back, and it'll start like a horse, you know, because you see a horse when you're a kid, you pull the reins. I thought over in the Middle East,
that makes sense. That's
use your damn. I'm like 6-year-old Ryan's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. You got to teach that camel a lesson. He's not listening.
I thought that till I heard the story of Eddie slapping the dude.
Yeah, then you find out like, no, this has nothing to do with the Middle East. It's actually Mexico, where there's no camels whatsoever.
I was like, oh, wait. So the Iron Sheik wasn't choking out camels in the Middle East all day? And
well, never mind.
And butt fucking them?
Then you find out that the Sheik is from Detroit, and you're like, wait,
Yeah.
what?
I fucking put you in that camel clutch, you fucking camel, and then I fuck you in the ass.
Oh man, oh man, oh man.
Yeah, he is from Detroit, right?
Yeah, yeah. Good old
Um,
Sheik.
my friend Jesus doesn't make fun of me, but he's always like, he calls my dad Sheiky because he looks like the Iron Sheik.
Does he really?
If my dad twisted up his mustache, he'd look like the Iron Sheik.
Alright, so I gotta send you some money so for Christmas your dad can get a present for me and it'll be mustache wax.
Mustache wax. I'll get him the shoes or the hat, the Sheik hat.
We gotta shave him bald.
No, he's bald, so we're good on that. Yeah.
Hey, perfect. Save money on the razor.
Yeah, that's why good old Raph is bald here, because good old dad.
Amen for genetics.
Can't complain. Can't complain. He gave me some good genes. He gave me some not so good genes in the hair department. But I don't lift that much weights, and I'm fucking.
Sorry, Raph. I can't hear you over the sound of my hair blowing in the wind here.
Well, it's kind of red, so how about that?
Yeah, it's kind of peaking. So how about that?
Catch me outside. How about that?
Yeah.
Let's see. Where were we in the wrestling?
We're talking about the Otani.
Okay,
match.
yeah. So Otani has good mat skills. Eddie's using his lucha moves, but also using an array of submissions and wrist locks, Boston crabs, headlocks. Just some good offense. He also lands a sick brain buster that I noted here.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you guys that don't know, a brain buster is almost like a suplex, but you drop them on their head.
That
it's like
one,
a suplex DDT, almost.
Yeah, you have to really trust your opponent to have, as he's dropping you down, he has to make sure he's falling backwards, or else your back is going to fall the same way. Arn Anderson could deliver the greatest of brainbusters.
The fucking tag team was the brainbusters.
Well, that's why, yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. Like, Arn Anderson was the master because, yeah, if you drop him the wrong way, that guy's never walking again.
Hey Ryan, how jealous are you of my Bret Hart?
Oh, fuck you.
I'm gonna do an unboxing, bro. I'm gonna open. I bought him to open him up, and I have an extra. Well, not an extra. I have a Winged Eagle belt. I'll strap it on Bret.
I thought you were gonna say I have an extra Bret Hart. I was like, you motherfucker, you have 2 Bret Harts?
No, that motherfucker was $30. I bought my niece Rhonda for her birthday, and I gave it to her. She opened it up.
But... happy birthday! Oh. I wanted to start the show that way. I completely forgot because I want to be racist apparently and say "si señor."
Thanks, brother.
Oh, happy birthday again! I missed it.
No problema, señor from el norte. From the true norte, señor. Mexico.
And happy birthday to the niece.
Thanks.
Nieces.
Yeah. They're a week before and then 3 days after mine. So they've invaded my month. I can't do anything about it, but you know.
Well, you invaded Eddie's month, so
yeah. But I got her Rhonda, the $30 Rhonda, the same edition that I got. So
dope Rhonda.
It's a WWE Elite, the Ultimate Edition. Comes with 3 heads. Comes with the jacket, interchangeable hands. Comes with the skirt. But I got myself Bret that comes with the visor, 3 different heads, and the ring walkout jacket or ring attire, so I could switch out, and different hands.
I want that so fucking bad.
Dude, they're $30 each. They have Shinsuke and Warrior as well. I think I'm gonna get myself a Rhonda. I could have gotten her $23.99, but I passed because I was getting them costumes.
Is it the Warrior from the '90s with the long trench coat?
Yes, it's the trench coat Warrior with 2 heads, one with full paint, second with smeared paint.
Oh,
and
nice.
Yeah, he comes with multiple hands, closed fists, open fists. And I think one mouth is open and the other one isn't. I have the Bret one, like one mouth is open, the other is making like a smile, and the other one's like making
making like the grimace.
Yeah, but I got one. I wish they had more pairs of glasses, but it only comes with one. Fucking assholes.
Yeah, I like I said, when I first saw that, I was like, oh god, I want to get that so bad. I'm like, Hydro Bill, Bret Hart.
Three heads, but one set of glasses. What am I gonna put on Deadpool now, huh? Oh, and my nephew.
What are you gonna put on Deadpool? You gonna put the sharpshooter on Deadpool?
I could,
No.
yeah. My nephew gave me this badass Marvel Select Juggernaut. So if people that know action figures, some Marvel Select, they put a lot of crazy detail into them, and they're fucking awesome. And the Juggernaut is fucking sick. I don't know if I sent you a picture, but I should send you a picture.
Not the Juggernaut one, no.
What I send you a picture of my Brett?
Brett and Ronda.
Okay. Did I show you Vegeta?
No.
Someone gave me Vegeta as well.
Oh, nice.
Super Saiyan God Blue Vegeta. Because I already have a Super Saiyan Vegeta. Look.
Oh, that's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah. Look, everybody. Yeah, so they gave me that for my birthday. Johnny the Body. Shout outs to Johnny the Body. I love gifts. I love gold. Yeah, so back to the sorry. She accidentally broke Ronda opening her up, or I don't know.
No.
Yeah, she snapped the head peg, but me as Uncle Handy with the Dremel.
Oh, you got right in there?
I got a Dremel and I cleared out the broken peg part, which the other half was still active or still alive. It was loose. So I cleared out the broken part, and with the Dremel I drilled it out, and then I stuffed it. Well, I dropped 2 drops of glue in there, and then I put in the peg and
nice.
Super glued it, and pretty much it's super stiff, and she's able to put the head on, and it's back to working condition.
Perfect.
I also got her Alexa Bliss because Alexa Bliss came with the Raw Women's title, and Ronda's only won the Raw Women's title, so I had to get that one. So she needs someone to pin.
Yeah.
She needs someone. She's got Charlotte. She likes Charlotte, and she likes Ronda, so I got her Bliss to pin.
Nice.
I'll get her more stuff.
She's 13 now?
It's younger, like 11, maybe. Yeah,
11?
Yeah.
Oh,
I get confused with there's so many of them, dude. There's 7 of them. I get confused with their fucking ages. I barely got enough time to be researching these matches, let alone keep up with their ages.
I'm telling me, and I only have 2, and I'm just like, what the fuck day is it?
It's Tuesday, Ryan. Tuesday, day before AEW.
NXT.
What?
So I guess after all the toy etc. talk, we'll finish off the Otani match. A little sidetracked.
Yeah, a little sidetrack. No, but these guys put on an incredible match, even though Eddie loses. But it showcases Eddie, it showcases Otani. And,
well, even the finish was beautiful.
Yeah. So the finish is Eddie goes for the Hurricanrana pin. So the Hurricanrana into the pin. Otani reverses it into the sit-down pin. Eddie reverses that into like a bridge pin, and then Otani reverses that into a sit-down pin. And it's a transition of pins until Otani kind of the last one where he rolls him into the sit-down one. You kind of see him clinch down a little bit harder on that one, and he's able to get the 3
better.
count.
Yeah,
he's able to get the 3 count on Eddie. And Eddie complains to the ref because he thought it was kind of fast. And earlier they were even the announcers were complaining that Eddie should have gotten the 3 count, but it is what it is. Nothing too crazy in this match. It's just a well planned out match with good wrestling between the both of them. Good mat skills with Eddie luching it up. You don't need Otani to do it because Eddie and him need they don't need to, but it's good to have 2 kind of different styles, even though they're similar with the mat skills. But Eddie's lucha spice really helped it out.
Yeah, and like I said, like that drop kick that Otani had hit was like it was one of those ones that it wasn't expected to see because he was such the ground guy, and then he hits the top rope and you're just like fuck, like goddamn, like he actually like they did a good job because they showcased their skills in the right way.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't just like it wasn't too much of one thing and not enough of the other. They well balanced the match.
So in 1996, Starrcade 1996, your match, you picked DDP versus Eddie Guerrero. It's for a vacant belt. There's no title holder here.
I think this was the finals of a tournament.
Yeah, this is exactly what it is. The finals to a tournament for the.
And there was a lot of like NWO. I picked a lot of this information up from the match. They were talking about how the NWO had interfered to help people, like
Yeah, so this is
they help Paige and
so
her.
the feud was so they wanted DDP to join the NWO. So on one of they came out and they helped him out. I'm guessing it was one of the tournament matches, but they came out and they gave Paige a shirt and it was Hall and Nash. And
Right.
Paige puts on the shirt and these guys are like, yeah. Like Nash turns around, he's like, yeah. And then DDP hits the diamond cutter on Hall, and then Nash turns around. I think he gets diamond cutter too.
No, he turns around and sees what happened, and DDP rolls out, and Nash like jumps to the ropes, like, oh, get back here.
Okay.
But Paige is already like running through the crowd, like,
and he gets one of his many People's Champ celebrations in the crowd, one of the very remembered ones.
Super pop when that happened.
Yeah.
I remember I think I have the Best of Nitro, 3 volumes of it,
mm-hmm.
and that the match isn't in there, but that scene is. And when he hits the diamond cutter on Hall, the fucking place blows up, and when he jumps into the crowd, the whole crowd like it's almost like people from all around the arena just swarm him. It's wild to see.
So Eddie actually, so that's what was happening with DDP. Eddie had been having a series of matches with Conan where he couldn't win the title, Ric Flair where he couldn't win the title, and I don't know if it was with DDP. No, because the tournaments would led them to face each other off. Which sounded kind of weird, almost like jerk each other off. But
yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, I think that's what Eddie was doing. I don't think he was doing well. It's not like he wasn't doing anything. He was.
No, there wasn't too much. He was just going through his, from what I've read, his basic rivalries.
Mm-hmm. He
just going through his stuff to kind of like keep him.
He teamed with Arn Anderson, and then Arn turned on him.
Just building his name while not giving him a push kind of thing. You know, like they were waiting to do the right opportunity to give him like the first like big push,
mm-hmm.
which was right here.
So before this, Eddie had also tried to take DDP's moniker of Lord of the Ring.
We talked about that at one point, right?
Yeah, I think we had broken down a Starcast or something, and they had mentioned the Lord of the Ring.
And there was a match for a ring. It was like Jim Duggan and DDP for a ring, or something.
I don't know.
I swear it was Jim Duggan was fighting for a ring. So,
I don't know.
I just remember it being like the weirdest thing we talked about.
Let's see. So yeah, DDP versus Eddie Guerrero. That's the match. They both start off exchanging wrist locks, quick arm drags, kind of your typical Eddie Guerrero startup match. DDP kind of teases the diamond cutter. He's just overpowering Eddie. He's using a size advantage over the speedier, agiler Eddie Guerrero. DDP's the heel here for some reason, I guess.
Yeah, well, when he started, he was the heel manager, and then when he became the wrestler, they just kind of made sense to keep him as a heel. So I don't know where exactly Eddie stood, but I feel like
he hadn't turned anywhere yet.
Yes, I feel like DDP might have just been like the more heel of the two at this point. Um, yeah, because it may have it actually may have been around this time. Like maybe this is '96. It could have been the Bash at the Beach '96 that we broke down. I want to say that was when DDP he was a heel defending his ring the first time. Like this could have been like this a heel run for him.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, DDP was always that heel until the NWO turned on him, or he turned on them rather to be a WCW guy. But he was still heel-ish. Like he was almost like Stone Cold, where he was the bad guy,
Yeah, because
and the fans liked him.
he had already refused the NWO.
Yeah, like he was the bad guy that turned away the bad guys, but he wasn't a good guy. He was out there for himself no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
Almost like he was like the heel Sting, like where Sting was out for himself, but was face. He was out for himself, but as a heel at this time.
Eddie clearly shows his mat superiority. He's taking down DDP, getting him in more locks than DDP's getting him in. Like I said, DDP's using his size to really take out Eddie. Eventually, he does start using submissions like the atomic stretch, but he's using the ropes as an advantage, heel tactics. The ref is catching him using it, and he's calling him out on it. Eddie starts using his heat to land punches, a series of punches, and really get going, his momentum going. And that's kind of where we see his viciousness, where he would be able to tap into that later on into his heel characters, and it really makes a lot more sense. You kind of see it in his viciousness, or the where he turns up the heat.
Yeah,
the Latino heat. Eddie misses a frog splash. It was pretty nasty.
I actually
Kicked DDP in the head. You saw that?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of him missing his frog splashes and selling it well, and then I watched this and I'm like, oh, he sold it, but he actually kind of got that other.
Kicked DDP in the head a little bit,
but that's
all
where
good.
DDP didn't roll out properly. That's all that means.
Yeah.
That's on DDP, and I love DDP. That was on him.
So we have Eddie goes for a Hurricanrana. This is one of the spots. Like we have some offense definitely goes on after that, but Eddie goes for a Hurricanrana when DDP's on the top ropes. DDP pushes him off, or he pushes him, and Eddie backflips.
Eddie was going for the Frankensteiner.
Okay, it's the same move, but okay. I was agreeing with you. I'm like, oh yeah, okay.
Scott Steiner invented that.
Okay, all right, brother. It's all about Latino heat today, bro. I know.
I
build that wall.
Yeah, I had to get that one in because
Eddie's father invented the Hurricanrana. No, I don't know about that one. I don't know about that one.
Scott Steiner went back in time and taught it to the Mexicans, and then he went back in time to the present.
No, Scott locks his legs behind the head in the Hurricanrana.
That's
a different way. He does the right under the left instead of the left under the right. So that's the Frankenstein.
It's the foot level.
Yeah, that's how you differentiate the difference of the moves.
No, Eddie, this is where Eddie really starts to when I was watching these matches, it was the top rope kind of shit where you see what he can do as a reversal on a reversal.
Where he gets pushed, backflips, lands on his feet, and then DDP goes for like a hammer fist off the top rope, but Eddie catches him into an atomic drop. Or I think it was an atomic. Yeah. And Eddie goes for the cradle, but only gets a 2 count, which the crowd pops for like, what? No, that's crazy. Eddie tries 2 more times to get the 3 count, but can't get it after like some series of moves. He even reversed a diamond cutter to try to get a roll up or something. Eddie gets tossed out and knocked out. At this point, the NWO comes out, and I think that there had to have been a ref bump.
No, it was
Okay, yeah. So
it was who's
Six
the
Pac.
six jumps on the apron and
Yeah,
distracts the ref.
yeah. So this is how
One,
much.
two, three,
This is how
six.
much.
Oh,
This is how much I love the fans. I'm so stupid. I didn't realize that till I was older. That 1, 2, 3
really?
kid, yeah, was Six Pac because
Well, but you know the
1, 2, 3.
on 83 weeks, I think it was.
Mhm.
Yeah, it had to be 83 weeks. Eric Bischoff said there was a reason why he was named Six, and Conrad goes, "Oh yeah, well he was the 1, 2, 3 kid, so six." He goes, "No, he was the sixth member, and it just happened to be the sixth member of the NWO was the 1, 2, 3 kid."
Mm.
So it just kind of coincide. I don't know how true. I know the original three, the Giant and
Ted
X-Pac
DiBiase.
was six, but I don't know where Ted DiBiase or Bischoff stepped in. So I don't know.
I think it was. Dan, did Virgil step in before 6? Is that what it was?
I don't know.
So it was the 3, and then who's the 4th?
Was it Bischoff?
Fucking ripped. No, the 4th was the Giant, I believe.
The Giant, because Bischoff was kind of early, right?
Or was it Virgil?
You mean Vincent?
Yeah. Fuck. I don't even. You know what?
I would honestly have to go back. I
We should
swear,
do an
Eric.
NWO episode. I'll watch the whole fucking NWO.
Oh, I will. I'm 1,000% down for an NWO episode. I will. I would love to watch that. But I could. I'd have to go back and try and find it. But I can swear that Bischoff said that Six got his name originally because he was the sixth member,
Mhm.
and then someone goes, "Oh, 1, 2, 3 is six," and they were like, "Oh, we're like." I could just be like putting different things together, but I could have swore that I heard Eric Bischoff say that. But
I could look it up. Damn it didn't give them to me in order, you piece of shit. I don't want the Wolf Pack. Timeline. Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, Hulk Hogan, Ted DiBiase, Giant Big Show. I don't know. This isn't in order because it says NW. Oh, okay. Is this the order then? Is this the order? So the timeline apparently.
So Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, Hulk Hogan, DiBiase, the Giant, NWO Sting,
which
then
is the fake
six.
Sting.
So 6 was actually 7. Then Vincent, and so on. But NWO Sting, I mean, oh no, wait. Scott Hall 1, Nash 2, Hogan 3, DiBiase 4, yeah, Giant 5, Sting 6. Yeah. So 6 was 7. So
I wonder if they got the fake Sting out of there before 6 came in. It made him the official member because they were trying to convince everyone that Sting was in the NWO, but he wouldn't join.
And then Sting beat up Sting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The fake Sting.
Who knows?
Um.
Regardless, the NWO 6 interferes.
We should do an episode on the NWO.
I'd love to do it with you, brother.
That might have to be the next one.
No, next Tuesday's Halloween Eve, so we should do a Halloween week, so we should do a Halloween Havoc episode next week.
Up to you. I've done a bunch of Halloween Havocs, but I'm down for another one. I haven't done them in a while. Actually.
I'll look up your list and I'll find one that we maybe haven't done or.
I haven't done an early one, probably early.
Ooh, I just watched 90.
I've probably
90,
done
94, 95 just was dropped on the network.
Okay.
It's Hogan.
We could do those because I think I've done 95, 90. No, maybe I've done 96, 97, 98, and 99. I might have even done 2000. The good ones.
Hulk Hogan versus Ric Flair, Steel Cage, career versus title, Mr. T special referee.
I pity the fool.
I think it was 94, 95. I forget which one it was, but they just dropped it on Sunday on the network. So
cool. Pick one of those. We could do one of those.
I'll do that one if you want. We can set that for next week.
And I'm gonna start breaking down the NWO because that one's gonna take a little bit longer.
I will gladly jump onto any NWO episode you want me to. I would love to watch some NWO shit and like really
Well,
get
we can do that in
involved.
2 weeks if you want.
For sure, for sure.
It's just I want to start it now just so I'm really prepared.
Oh
For
yeah, no, yeah, I will definitely. We can briefly touch on whatever you want to, and then just kind of like roll into how guys joined. We can do matches, and however you want to do it, I'm all in. I would love to watch the NWO because they were such like without the NWO, there's no Attitude Era, there's no anything. Like they were the ones that switched everything.
Without the NWO, there's no this logo that I can steal.
Yeah, exactly.
Allegedly. Well, it's not NWO, it's FHP with a box around it. Come on. Think
Yeah.
outside the box. But I'm inside the box, so come in here with me. Let them in. Let them in.
So, yeah. So anyway, so NWO interferes, and Scott Hall gives the outsider's edge to Paige.
Yes. And then Eddie wakes up. He doesn't see the NWO at first. Hits the frog splash. Gets the win.
I like that he did the frog splash because if he had just rolled in and pinned him, I would have been like, "Ow, come on!" Either that's a kick out or that's way too long to be out cold. So the fact that he hit the frog splash kind of like justified how the match ended to me.
Yeah. So Eddie wins a vacant U.S. championship, but the NWO comes back, beats up Eddie.
And because Eddie tries to defend everything too.
Yeah. Because he's like, what
That's
the
right.
fuck is going on in the NWO?
He did a good job at first.
So this is super early on to the NWO. This is 96 Starrcade. NWO was around for a couple months, barely. They started in 96.
Yeah, they probably only had at this point like 7-8 members. Like, it was probably only like Hall, Nash, Hogan, Six, and a couple of managers at this point, really.
So Six steals a belt, and he takes off with the new belt that was made for this tournament, or new like design or something.
The new incarnation, yeah.
This would lead to the match between Six and Eddie Guerrero, which I'm surprised we didn't pick. They had a badass ladder match for the U.S. title at Sold Out, which wasn't that great. This might have been the high spot of that pay-per-view. Him and Eddie.
Yeah. They've talked a lot about those sold outs not panning out the way they hoped.
Kind of like the DX one, the DX pay-per-view in your house.
Oh yeah, in your house DX, yeah.
It just didn't work out for some reason.
They just didn't do the title of DX. It would have been a lot better, but make it about DX and then you make DX do nothing.
That's a great way to do it. Just like
it's literally like saying like in a Hell in a Cell match, there's no disqualifications, and then you disqualify someone.
Or it's like having a Punjabi prison match and not having the Great Khali in it, or at least in the inaugural one. Hey, let's have the first ever Punjabi prison match, but no Great Khali in it.
Yeah, no, or not even Great Khali, no Indians.
Yeah,
Like
Red Dot or Feather, bro. The or Allah Akbar. Which one?
well, come on.
Tell me.
I don't refer to indigenous people as Indians. It's very racist, Raph.
First Nation, right?
Yeah, First Nation.
You know what's funny? In Mexico, you know what we call dark people?
Is this gonna go down to
people?
bad?
You know what? I'll answer for you, Ryan. You know, I forgot. I saw your skin tone real quick. I forgot what color you were. We still call people down there Indios, like people that are native to Mexico and are super dark. We call them Indios.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's fun. It's hilarious. It even goes down to Mexico. The ignorance of the first Americans to step foot into the United States and call the natives Indians. It sticks. Now, well, see, they look. There's a lot of.
There's a lot of different cultures, though, right? Like,
So,
because I'm not. I have a lot of like passion for learning, but I don't like. I can't. My brain can only absorb so much. So I've always in my life, I've always tried to learn about like historical cultures, like from the Incas to the to Mexicans to indigenous to where we are today.
Middle Eastern blood and indigenous blood are very similar.
Yeah, like I love learning about all that stuff. And I swear, when I found out that like from Mexico to like Central America, how many different tribes and skin tones and belief. It's a wild, like, that's such a
There's
small
Afro-Mexican, bro.
area. It's
Black
wild,
Mexican.
man. Yeah.
Like, not even like in the United States. No, like along the coasts of Mexico, on the inner coast, I guess, because that's where the ships would get
'Cause
early
where the
on.
ships would come in. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I didn't know about that till recently, and I was looking that up, and then I thought about it, and I'm like, oh, well, that makes sense. I'm like, I just never thought about it. But like I mentioned, you also have like your indigenous to the United States that have Middle Eastern qualities, very similar. That like, so you can't really
Right.
blame the first people for getting here and be like, oh, well, they're Indians. And it's really
Yeah.
it's just crazy how it's stuck, like even to this day. Like in Mexico, it's not funny, it's just weird because like I said, really dark brown people are indios, black people are negros, white people are güeros. It's just how it is. Like,
We're werewolves.
yeah, you guys are werewolves. It's just like that's just how it is. Like, if someone looks like they're Asian, they're Chino. That's it. There's no
That's
other fucking like. That's it. It's like, hey, Chino, and there's no Chinese people in Mexico. It's just they have Asian features, the slanty eyes or something.
You know,
like that.
it's funny that you say that because as of yesterday, we can continue on to a tradition in Canada we've had for 4 years now, where our prime minister is "Hey moron," and we get that for another 4 years. Well, another 2 years because we got a minority. So
You guys got Trudeau again, right? He won.
well, he won minority. Trudeau's a min. How about this? Trudeau a month ago, pictures of blackface comes out, and then in the election, his government's a minority government. It's
Canada's
like,
racist.
Come the fuck on. Are you kidding me right now?
Canada's racist. I knew it. Never going again. Never again. I saw them look at me when I went over there. And maybe it was because I was wearing an obnoxious Mexican hat that said Viva Mexico on there, and we purposely did it.
Oh no, that
Because
would
we were
have been
trying to
fine.
be funny.
No, we would have said, "Come on in." If you had a shirt that said, "I'm red blood American," we would have said, "You want to take that U-turn and just go back that way?"
You know what's hilarious? We really went to Canada with obnoxiously big hats that said Viva
Did you
Mexico.
really? That's
Yes.
awesome.
We went to go visit some friends that we met online. That my cousin is now married to the female that he married or met from playing Gears of War. He met a couple. It's kind of a weird story. I don't know if I should be telling it, but he met some chick over there in Canada that we went to go visit when I was like 18. Me and like 3 other my cousins went, and but we went with our stupid fucking ridiculous hats that they sell for celebrations here.
Okay.
Like for like Mexican holidays, like for Cinco de Mayo and or
May 5th for those English-speaking people.
and September 16th, I think it is, Mexican Independence Day.
Independence.
So the real one that people should celebrate. The other one's just we beat France or something. Some kind of battle. Stupid French.
Is that funny how like Independence Day means jack shit in some countries, but like a celebration of a victory over a nation that means nothing in the grand scheme of things? Really, that's the big one. Like,
I should be ashamed. I should know more about Mexico. Shame on me. That's why I need Frankie here as my producer. Frankie's my Latin American history guy. He knows a lot of stuff about Latin America.
I love me some Frankie. Frankie's a good guy. I love talking with him.
Yeah. I haven't seen him in... Was he here last week? No, actually, he was here last week. Was he? Yeah, he was. But... so we were done with what match was that? The DDP match?
Eddie just beat DDP.
He goes on to feud for the U.S. belt on and off till eventually in 97 challenges Jericho for the Cruiserweight Championship at Fall Brawl 1997.
Kind of weird. I thought when I picked my matches, I picked guys I wanted to see him face.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was so weird that he went from U.S. to cruiserweight,
Mm-hmm.
because it usually went cruiserweight or TV title to the U.S. Usually you build your way from being the small guy to the middle title, or the TV champion to the middle title. Here he took a step down, but his step down was the best thing for him.
So I'm no Bruce Pritchard here, but I would say, looking at this, they wanted to set up the match versus Ray, where they kind of tease the mask taking away from, or they're taking the mask away from Ray, but you need something to take away from Eddie, where he's gonna lose it, but you don't want to take away his hair. So
Right.
you give him the title, take it away from Jericho in September, and then you give it to Ray in October. So that's what I'm guessing happened.
That makes a lot of sense. I think mask versus hair to me makes more of a sense, because whenever I see a mask versus title, I always jump at, well, he's gonna win the title.
Mm-hmm.
Mask versus hair, I'm like, okay, well, is this guy like Kurt Angle shaved his head for the first time, was a hair match?
Oh, and I forgot to mention, Eddie had a mask versus hair match a couple times, or not a couple times. Well, yeah, it must have been a couple times, but he did lose one for sure, and he had to get his hair cut.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he lost one, and they were cutting his hair.
Okay.
Yeah, before WWE, of course.
Right.
In AAA.
Also, like way back in the day.
Damn, was it part of? I think it was part of La Pareja Atómica.
Okay.
It was somewhere around there. One of his stints with one of his really good friends that died of I think drug overdose, where they were a tag team, but he had a match, a singles match, where it was hair versus mask, and he had his hair taken away because the other guy didn't lose his mask.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. So yeah, this would lead us into the Chris Jericho Guerrero match. Sorry, I'm high as hell, man.
This is all right. On the ring it said Fall Brawl War Games.
Mm-hmm.
Was that because War Games is its own pay-per-view, right?
War Games is its own. It's a Hell in a Cell. It's an elimination chamber. Before, you know how they would have it on a pay-per-view?
Right. Before it was just
it
was just a one match. Okay.
So they could have it on it could be a Fall Brawler, it could be a Clash Clash of Champions, and they have a War Games thing.
Oh, okay.
It's just they had it here because they have it at different pay-per-views. NXT has it at takeovers now sometimes.
Yeah, that's where I got confused, because I knew of War Games, and when I saw this, I knew it as the cage match pay-per-view style.
Mm-hmm.
So when I saw Fall Brawl War Games, it's like a little. Didn't know if it was like a promotion for the next one or what.
No, it was just kind of like its own thing.
Okay.
Yeah, so like I said, like Hell in a Cell. Eventually, Hell in a Cell did become its own pay-per-view for new listeners, but it wasn't its own pay-per-view. It was at a pay-per-view that it was debuted. Right? Am I right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It was Bad Blood. It debuted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It makes sense, yeah, I guess, with Fall Brawl.
Now it's just limited to Hell in a Cell, like I said, which this recent one fucking sucked nuts. The finish. Big balls. Big, disgusting, smelly donkey balls.
Donkeytron balls?
Actually, goat balls, because goat balls start smelling really bad. I don't know. There's something about their glands.
I'm not going to ask why you know that. No. I'm not going to ask.
In Mexico?
I was going to say.
In Mexico, so the thing is, Sundays you play volleyball. You go from ranch to ranch, and Sundays kind of like the church. After church, you get together, and the girls and the guys play volleyball. In one of the ranches, there's a goat, and usually goats that pass a certain age start reeking, like a smell gland that they have like on their anus / like piss. I don't know. It's pretty much like a culmination of piss and on their fucking fur or whatever. But you could smell this motherfucker I don't know, man. Hundreds of feet
Mile
away.
away?
You knew he was coming, and you're like, this fucking goat is coming, and you'd be like, get the rocks ready, and you just fucking pelt. Come at me, fucking Peter. You go smell
Really?
you go smell that fucking goat. You'd hit him with one rock, and he was out of there. But he'd usually come back because people eating chips and people are drinking, and
Oh, yeah.
so like, but you would smell this smelly motherfucker coming through. But I think after a certain age, like if you don't chop off their balls, they start smelling really bad.
Okay.
I'm not a goat expert. I've only fucked them in the ass. Oh shit, we're live, right? Sorry.
Oops.
Oops, bleep. Go back and edit that. Edit that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I'm no goat. I'm no goat. Go fuck a goat. I'm no goat expert, but that one smelled fucking disgusting, dude. Really bad.
I'm a goat expert. I know a lot about GSP. I know a lot about Muhammad Ali, Stone Cold.
Canelo.
Oh, here we go. Only guy to lose twice to is it Kazakhstani? But gets a draw and a win with 2 losses though.
I'll admit to the first one. I'll give the second one to Canelo. It was a lot more
There-
even the second one.
They were both so close. I was actually happy with 2 draws. I would have been happy, but
I was surprised with the first one, to be honest. I thought Canelo.
I think I think Canelo lost the first. The second one is a coin flip, but I would be it's another talk for their day.
Yeah. November 2nd, check out Full Heel Podcast. Johnny's coming over. I don't know who else, because the rewrites are having a show, but we're having a fight campaign that day. And me and Johnny have had 2 of the highest viewed episodes on FHP, like 2,500 and like 2,000 something. And they were both Kovalev versus Ward fights. But then there's a third one on the top 5, Canelo versus Chavez Jr. So now it's Kovalev versus Canelo. Check out the podcast. Full Heel Podcast. Body Shots World Tour. Check it out. Where was I? Okay, so we haven't even got into the match.
No, we haven't. Not yet.
The match starts off. Guerrero gets slammed, and I make a point of this because Guerrero gets up.
I gotta take a quick leak. I'll be right back. You wanna?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I make a point of this, pointing out this insequential slam because it's nice to note the selling of Eddie. Eddie kind of gets up and stops the action. It's really, really frustrating Jericho. And you could see it on his face. Jericho's making faces to the camera. Like, come on, like, what the hell? Like, he's clearly, like, just the selling by both of them is incredible. This is where I was falling in love with Eddie Guerrero's, the Chris Jerichos, the Benoits, with all these guys, with the Malinkos. These guys were developing their skills, but they were already fantastic at what they were doing. Eddie, just the selling, the interactions with the referee. Jericho with the looking at the camera and kind of being like, come on, like, what the hell? Like, this guy's just fucking stalling. We need to go. Let's go. Eddie it sells a badass shoulder block by Jericho. Let's see. Jericho's actually out grappling Eddie, surprisingly. I know it's a wrestling match, but Jericho is showing his wrestling skills over Eddie Guerrero, which is always shown to have superior wrestling skills over people that he goes after. Not so much over Otani, but whatever. Jericho can only get a 2 count off the lion salts, but back to arm locks, which he's been working on after hitting some earlier arm jacks. He would, and some chest chops. Oh, okay. So earlier on, Jericho hits an arm drag to chest chop to arm lock. It was a really good set of transitions that set up all of those 3 moves. But later on, he goes back to the arm lock after out grappling Eddie. Eddie eventually takes over and then starts focusing on Chris Jericho's back. He starts with the camel clutch, a modified Mexican surfboard. He tries to get the gory special on Jericho. He uses the ropes to springboard onto Jericho's back, and just kind of midway towards the match, he's focusing on Jericho's back. So I'm talking about now. He's focusing on Jericho's back after Jericho.
This is where he's doing like that sit down surfboard kind of style move.
Yeah, the modified sit down surfboard. He just starts focusing on. They make it a point to talk about him focusing on.
And they
Jericho's
really
back.
reference a lot of the his family's moves. I remember them mentioning like, oh, it's not quite what his grandfather had invented, but or whoever, but they yeah, like you said, the modified version of it.
Yeah. So Jericho sits. This is the finish. Jericho sits Eddie on top of the ropes, and mid superplex. So Jericho's going for the superplex on Eddie. Mid superplex on the way down. Eddie reverses kind of to land on top of Jericho. Jericho gets taken out by this, and then Eddie goes for the frog splash and gets the 3 count. Do you got anything to say about this match?
Honestly,
the finish.
Everything about this match, like part of the reason why the matches that I picked, well, there were some guys that I wanted to see him face, and I knew that you were gonna pick the Ray at one point, and I wanted to see him and Benoit and him and Jericho from like at some point in time because those guys just like oozed
Machismo?
chemistry.
Sorry.
Chemistry.
Machismo.
And you see it in this match. Like it was so like when like Jericho would hit such a hard move, but Eddie made it look like when Eddie would slip into something that he would get hit with, and he'd be like, "Oh fuck!" But then when you watch it as a fan and you're knowledgeable, you're like, "God damn!" Like he hit that perfectly. And was it Mike Tenay? I think it was we're talking about Eddie's neck and chest from one of Jericho's attacks. I don't know if it was the
Tenay's the super descriptive one.
Yeah, all I remember saying like I remember the voice saying
he's hitting the Hurricane Rana.
It might have been no Mike Tenay. Who's the other guy?
Shivani?
It might have been Shivani doing the commentary saying Eddie's chest and neck are super red because like it showed him going off the rope with such violence, and then Jericho hitting like a lion's, like all these different moves that Jericho was hitting. But when you see Eddie, he gets up and he's just like flowing. Like there was no struggle to these guys putting this match on.
Is it just me, or did Jericho not go for the Walls of Jericho? Did he not have it as his finisher here? Or did he just not go for it because he wasn't going to get the finish?
No, he went for it because they talked about it. I remember them saying in the commentary, Eddie has to be careful for the Walls of Jericho Boston Crab. And I was like, that's the first time I've ever heard someone put the Walls of Jericho and Boston Crab in the same sense. Like as it's the same move, but referring to the Boston Crab as that. Or maybe the Lion Tamer Boston Crab at that point.
I think it was the Lion Tamer Boston Crab because the Walls of Jericho was when he came
WWF.
in as Y2J.
Yeah, so they definitely referenced Eddie having to watch out for Jericho putting that move on.
Okay.
But I don't think he ever locked it on. He may have went for it and was countered. I don't remember.
You know what? I'm fucking ripped. So he had that move when he was the Lionheart Chris Jericho. So he's had it for a while.
He's had the Lion Tamer, and now it's the past his Prime Tamer.
Isn't it the double knees to the chest?
Yeah, what is it? I forget. The Code Breaker was in WWE, but I don't know what it is now.
Oh no, now it's that
it's elbow. That punch, the elbow. That's right. Yeah, it's that weird elbow finisher. That spinning
Judas
elbow.
Effect.
Yeah, spinning
Judas
elbow.
Effect, yeah.
Spinning elbow. Now this this is the match I was super excited. I'm so happy you picked it because I remember the first time I watched this match was because of your podcast. When you broke down Halloween Havoc 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. I remember listening to this, and I was super excited to hear this one match or to watch this match because probably Eddie's greatest match. Not greatest moment, but greatest match.
This is definitely referenced as one of his greatest matches. I've broken it down, but I wanted to pick it again because I love this match. And
it's so fucking good. It's so good.
And you know what's even... Well, it's even better for me that I loved what I did. I went back and I watched a whole month before the Nitros, before leading up to this. So right after he won it, nice. I'd seen the when he won it, and then I went before and I watched and I just picked out the Eddie matches that he was having, and he was actually defending the title in these matches against Ultimo Dragon. I forgot who else, man, but
was it all Mexican?
No, dude, it was like it was badass guys that we fucking know, like from the badass dudes from WCW.
Like the old cruiserweights and all that, yeah. like Disco Inferno.
Yeah, yep. I forgot. Damn, I should have written it down, but I was just watching it and I forgot.
Did he have any like Juventud, Psychosis?
No, he fought Psychosis. Then now that you mention it, Psychosis is one of them. They put on a badass match. No, and I hope Laparca does. He's doing better. I don't know if you saw recently.
No.
He did like a diving headbutt, and the guy moved
like recently.
Yeah. And it looks like he hits his head at the bottom of the guardrail. It looks pretty bad.
Oh no.
Yeah, it looks pretty bad. It's pretty bad. Yeah. So Ultimo Dragon, Psychosis. I forgot who else. But
Kidman.
No, Kidman, I don't think he was there yet. I should have written it down, but I was just watching him.
I'm trying to think. Like, they probably threw a 6. Maybe not a 6 as they would have had. He would have won the title if they put 6 in there.
I wonder if it was a Benoit. You know what? It could have been Japanese guys, which it might have been.
Because this is cruiserweight, right?
Yeah, this is cruiserweight.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, it's right, because it's Ray.
Might have been a Malenko as well. But they were saving Ray for the other one. And he teased taking Psychosis mask off too. He was fucking around with Psychosis mask. They had leading up into this match as well, like right before, because it was quick. Is there a bat in there?
No, I just scratched my arm and a moth flew out of my shirt. I fucking scared the shit out of me.
Eddie had tried to snatch Ray's mask leading up into this, like on a night Thunder.
Did he take it off? Yeah, I think he had his hands over his face or something.
I think that's what it was. Ray always finds a way to cover it up, either with a hoodie or like his hands. Or
he always has a backup plan. If
the ref throws a towel in or something.
That's why I love this outfit. Yeah. I remember this outfit from WCW NWO Revenge. Mm-hmm. It was one of my favorite Rays to play with.
So
so good.
The Ray he's talking about is the purple bodysuit, Dia de los Muertos bodysuit, where he's got like the skull on the back of his head, but it's a whole bodysuit connected to the mask because
and it's all like question marks.
Yeah.
With the Mysterio logo all over it, like it's
because Eddie was trying to steal his mask, so he made it part of the whole suit. And it's a belt versus mask match. Eddie's belt versus Rey Mysterio's mask. And after, a quick exchange of offense, Eddie starts getting the offense going, and he's very, very aggressive with that mask. He's picking up Rey by that mask, pulling on that mask because he can, because it's part of the bodysuit, so it really works for the match. But he's pretty much dominating Rey for a lot of it. Any offense Ray tries to get in, he pretty much stifles it. Using a lot of power moves on Ray. Ray's super tiny. Super tiny.
Yeah. Which makes, like, when Ray starts getting his offense going in this match, it makes it so... It impacts the effects because of how small he is. You have to understand how much force he's really putting behind what he's doing.
Yeah. Um, it reminds me a little bit of how he fought Brock Lesnar, like kind of similarities where he was a smaller dude
Right, yeah.
and Brock's using Brock uses
Brock uses a
a
size
ton of power
against.
moves, like what I would do in a
Yeah,
video game. He's a video game character.
exactly. Yeah. That's fair.
Uh, yeah. So he's at one point he puts Ray in the camel clutch and he tears apart the eye part of Ray's mask. He exposes Ray's mask or Ray's face. These guys just have an incredible match. Like Eddie also using again luchador style moves, but here he's playing the power offensive, slamming and bullying Rey Mysterio around. Whenever Ray can get something off, Ray does land a badass DDT, nasty DDT.
I would say Ray had some fucking moves, and or I won't even say Ray had some moves. These guys put together some transitions that finished with one guy getting hit really hard, it seemed. But like Ray would say Eddie whips Ray into the ropes. Ray would jump on the rope, flip over. Eddie would duck. He kick it. Ray would kick Eddie in the back. Eddie would hit the rope, and then you think Ray's in the driver's seat, but Eddie would do a somersault kind of like over Ray. Like it was so crazy watching these two guys not. I don't even know how to word this. They were not touching each other in so many exchanges. They weren't touching each other, but they were building momentum.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they hit the moves, it was like, God damn! Like it wasn't like Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior doing that running back and forth with the rope. It would like these guys are actually like doing moves.
No, so like one of those spots that I think you're kind of referencing to, or that would work here is Eddie throws Ray into the corner. Eddie charges Ray. Ray jumps up. Eddie slides, hits his nuts on the ring post.
Yep.
Goes to the outside. When he's going out to the outside trying to recover from the nut shot, Rey Mysterio has adjusted himself to the top rope, planchas himself to the outside, pretty much senton splashes Eddie Guerrero, which is an exchange of back and forth, toss you to the corner, I slide under, I accidentally hit my nuts, and you fucking jump out and hit me.
Yep. And there was another time when Eddie was on the outside going towards the entrance, he was almost like walking away, and Ray, I don't even know how, and I could be misremembering this, but as Ray dives out head first, he hits a DDT.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say I could be misremembering.
No, that's the nasty DDT that I was talking about earlier.
Okay, yeah.
DDT.
But it's like, how do you jump through the ropes and hit like? It was wild. It was like I've never seen that, and I haven't seen it since that. Like, and that's like how long ago? Like
Ray's so tiny, man. They were able to do some stuff with him that's really, really crazy. What was one of them? Fuck, I had just seen it too in one of my notes that I had taken. Nope, that's the DDT back. Ray does hit a badass Hurricanrana to throw Eddie to the outside, but then goes off the ropes and then jumps outside and hits a second Hurricanrana to the outside.
Yeah.
Just some crazy shit. But Ray's so small and so agile and flexible. Eddie's able to hit some nasty power bombs to pins that they look like they hurt, and Ray just takes them.
And that's how I was talking about with Jericho and Eddie. When Eddie works with guys that he knows, they're able to make things look worse than they are. Mm-hmm. It seems.
His selling, man. Eddie's one of the best sellers there is. Let's see. The finishing sequence to this is Eddie Guerrero is trying to hit the Razor's Edge off the top rope.
Off the top, which I remember from the video games. I remember that finisher.
Yeah, so he's trying to hit the Outsider's Edge on Rey Mysterio from the top rope, and he's got him up. As he goes for the release and tosses Ray, Ray hooks the legs and hurricanranas Eddie Guerrero and gets the 3 count. Am I right?
Yep.
Yeah. It was an incredible
It
fucking
was a great,
finish.
and that's funny because I like watching the sequence of this match and how it ends. It took me back to playing the video game of Revenge, because Eddie had the top rope outsider's edge, which I thought was weird because I always knew it as a Scott Hall finisher,
Mm-hmm.
and Ray had as his top rope finisher was the Hurricane Rana. So to see both of those played out in the same sequence was pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that's some video game shit to me, man.
And the other thing that you see things today in matches that you're like, what the fuck? They could never do that back then. But then you watch this match here and you're like, oh shit, they did this back then. You just didn't realize it.
Yeah. I love Eddie Guerrero. Sorry, my eyes are getting dry looking at this stupid ass screen.
It's all good.
Yeah, so that was the end of the match. Eddie attacks Ray after the match and tells him that this is not over. Eddie goes on to lose the title, though, like not too long after that. I think to Último Dragón or something like that.
Ray has the title.
Oh, yeah, sorry, Ray has a title. I think Eddie goes on to win it not too long after this.
Okay.
He's trying to make his way back over there. I think he's like faces Jericho and I forgot who else. Like I said, I watched a bunch of Nitro matches before and after this feud. Fucking context. This will take us to his, let's see, 1998 pretty much feud with Chavo. So he begins to feud with Chavo and kind of treating Chavo roughly and giving him some tough love. To eventually, it leads to a match with Chavo where Chavo becomes his slave.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a good storyline if you go back and you look at it. And it's a long storyline between these two, between Eddie and Chavo, and it's an ongoing storyline between the two of them with Chavo becomes slave. They have a hair versus hair match where Chavo gets his head shaved. Chavo goes crazy for a bit. He even cost him a United States Championship match against, I forgot who, but they have a very long and good feud. Uncle and Miller time over there?
Guinness time.
What? Crazy.
I remember we were talking about a match where Eddie was on, or Chavo was on the outside for an Eddie match, and Eddie was constant. Or no, they were fighting each other. I think it was one of the pay-per-views we covered. And every time Eddie would hit something on Chavo, he would say like, "Oh, come on, you're making your dad and Bear." Oh, like he would always like put Chavo down every chance he had, and to the point where when Chavo was in the advantage, he was trying to brag so much that he had finally bested his uncle that Eddie would get the win because he would sneak the victory in.
Got line, cheat, and steal, brother.
Every day.
So after the feud with Chavo, Eddie wants more through creative. He wants a better push and gets into a real life kind of feud with Bischoff where he tells him to either push him or he's not going to work for him or to release him.
Yeah, he like it's like so many guys have talked about this era. The NWO was the big seller, and then you had the Wolfpack, you had Luger and Sting separate before Wolfpack, you had Goldberg, DDP, you had all these guys and all the undercard guys who were carrying the shows were getting nothing.
So the only reason this worked for as long as it did, the LWO, the Latino World Order, is because of Eddie.
Yeah. When I was a kid, I wanted the LWO shirt more than the NWO shirts.
Go back and watch the formation of the LWO when he puts them together. He cuts a badass promo, gathers all the luchadors together, and calls out management and how they've been disrespected and been left to opening up the match. And he wants he wants a push. He wants everyone to get a push, and they're gonna boycott unless they get what they want. And how are they gonna have a show? How are they gonna have a main event without them? And the Latino World Order is born, and it's pretty much a real life feud between Bischoff and Eddie that turns into Latino World Order. Like I said, without Eddie, this doesn't work. It started with real life.
I remember in Revenge again, you could change the color scheme
Mm-hmm.
on the characters, trunks, whatever, jean colors. I had the whole LWO. I figured all those guys. They were my favorite characters in the game, and when that faction formed, I was all in.
Eddie goes on to another feud with Rey Mysterio because Rey Mysterio will not join the LWO and is tag teamed with Billy Kidman. Guerrero goes on to face Billy Kidman for the title, where Rey Mysterio actually interferes because of their feud and him not joining the LWO. Let's see.
Yeah, even when he does finally join, like he's pretty rough on him, right? For always trying to not be a member.
Yeah. He's it becomes where he starts acting very aggressively towards Ray and beating up on Ray because he's not joining, and he's with Kidman. And they don't want Kidman because he's not Latino. Fuck that.
Right.
They formed later on in 1999. He forms the Filthy Animals alongside Rey Mysterio and Conan.
And Kidman, weirdly enough.
Yeah. They feuded with the Revolution, which would be Shane Douglas, Chris Benoit, Dean Malenko, and Perry Saturn.
Now, if you drop one of those and you substitute in Eddie Guerrero, weird.
When Vince Russo came in and fired the booker, I don't know who was the booker for WCW at the time, but replaced him with Kevin Sullivan.
Ugh.
Chris Benoit knew he was in for a bad time.
Long couple of years coming Benoit's way.
Quick recap of that. Woman is a manager in the WCW. Yes, that is her name. Kevin Sullivan's wife. Kevin Sullivan writes in an angle where Chris Benoit and she is cheating on him with Chris Benoit, and then it becomes real life. She marries Chris Benoit, and then Kevin Sullivan becomes the booker. Chris Benoit does not want to be there. Chris Benoit and Eddie Guerrero are pretty much brothers. Dean Malenko, Perry Saturn, they're all fucking super best friends. They've all
and Shane Douglas was actually legitimately supposed to be a fifth member of that group here.
WWF has always kind of secretly had it out for Dean. Sorry, Shane.
Yeah, ever since the whole thing when he was first there.
He's Dean Douglas in WWE. Sorry, WWF. Get the F out of here. Yeah, so they asked for their release, and I guess there wasn't really much protest or like refusal to give them the release, and they were all just kind of let go. I guess they have the same mentality as Vince does on why keep unhappy talent around.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
which he's doing now.
Yeah, because there were so many times where guys from WCW, they knew that if they were to jump, they're probably going to end up there. They just didn't want to risk certain things, and vice versa. But eventually, they're just like, you know what? We have more than enough. Like, we can definitely deal. You guys don't want to be here? Well, fine. We'll do NWO instead of the Revolution. It'll be against, Booker T and Jeff Jarrett. Like, we can make it work. Like, and it ended up sinking the company letting these four guys go. And I feel like that's why they're not letting guys go now, because they don't want to risk sinking themselves. Because really, the downfall for WCW was both the rise of Austin, but then when those four guys left, any little storylines that WCW could have had were gone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he makes his debut, or the Radicals make their debut on Raw, and they attack the New Age Outlaws, but bad luck strikes Eddie Guerrero, and I think he is
Oh
this where he breaks his arm or he separates his shoulder?
no! Oh fuck! I'll never forget. He does the frog splash, and when he hits,
He
I
dislocates.
on this TV screen, he hits the frog splash. He looks up, and you can see the bone in his elbow is just hanging. Like it's like Sid jumping off the second rope or the top rope.
So
It's
this is
this,
where this is where I started learning about pre-tapings because I was kind of young still, but my cousin told me that this is SmackDown and Raw were, yeah, SmackDown was around, right? It had to have been.
this was on SmackDown.
Okay, yeah, it happened on SmackDown
I
because
think they were in the crowd and they fought on Raw, but the match was on SmackDown, and it was the match that he hurt himself.
yeah, so they would do back-to-back tapings. They would do Raw and then they would tape SmackDown on Tuesdays, and then they would air it Thursdays.
Tuesday live that they
Yeah.
just had was Tuesday tapings.
Yeah, so they would air it Thursdays or Fridays because it eventually moved back to Fridays. But whatever day it came out, the thing is on the internet, because the internet was a thing now, they had mentioned that Eddie was going to fuck up his arm, and I remember watching it too just to check out the arm fucking up.
I'll never forget watching him as he hits, his arms go down and he just lifts up one arm and his eyes are like bugging out and
So he kind of doesn't really partake in the Radicals gimmick. He's just kind of there,
he
standing
was there
around.
with the cast on in the background,
He's
kind
a
of like
manager.
yeah. Which is kind of funny because it ended up leading to like other storylines that made no
Yeah.
sense. I remember going through it and it's like Triple H and the Radicals, Eddie Guerrero in the corner, like, why the fuck is Triple H? You know, whatever. Like
Yeah.
it was one of those things where it was like they wanted to keep them going, but in order to keep them going, they had to keep big names in the story, and then fucking they just get rid of Eddie
Yeah,
and
then
Perry.
on Eddie's return, he comes back and he starts showing affections for China, and the whole mamacita thing comes up. Yeah, he starts.
That's a weird
He falls in
angle.
love with her, and yeah, no, it's just kind of a weird pairing of the two. China was super hot
Mhm.
in terms of popularity, not in terms of looks, unless that's your thing. She looks like a dude. She
Yeah.
shaved her chin. She didn't shave her chin. She shaved her jawbone down. She had
Yeah, it's a
surgery.
little more feminine. Yeah.
Yeah, because she had a squarer jaw than me, and I kind of have a fat jaw, so I don't really have it squared. So that's not, you know what?
It
Horrible,
happened.
bad reference. Bad reference. She had a better chin than.
Canelo.
Okay, look and take a shot.
Too many jokes.
Triple G to knock him out, bro.
No. Didn't want to. Wanted to school him.
Oh yeah.
Oh shit. He was China had a chin like Jesse Ventura. like no, like
Johnny Bravo.
there you go. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they just you watched China in 1997 when she was just a bodyguard, and I love China. I think I think she should be in the Hall of Fame on her own name, not just as DX.
Mhm.
But you look at China in 1997 when she debuted, and you look or 97 when she debuted, 96 when she debuted, sorry, and you look at her with Eddie Guerrero in 2000, 2001. It's a bit of a difference.
Eddie goes on to face two of his members, the Radicals, defends his European title. Sorry, after getting with China, he eventually captures the European title, and we're gonna see a lot of this. So we'll talk about his Intercontinental run, I guess, but he also holds the European title while with China. Let's see, how do China and him break up eventually? Oh, he
It was
the supermodels and there's security footage of girls in the shower with him, like.
yeah, and then she breaks up. Yeah, there was I think he begged for her to come back, and never happened. I think this is around the time when Champa becoming the Intercontinental Champion from Jarrett, and then co-champions with Jericho. Shortly around this time, I want to say around the 2001s when China started, like she was in the Royal Rumble, like she was getting a singles push against the men and holding her own pretty well.
Let's see. What happens after they break up?
He Los Guerreros.
Do you know who Eddie cheats with?
No.
They were on a train. The Ho Train.
Godfather.
He
Really?
cheats. He cheats with the Godfather's hose, and there's footage of him
Okay.
coming out of the shower.
Oh, okay. I never really got that.
And
yeah. So I guess after this, he had his singles run. I know he was tag champs with Ray and Los Guerreros. Nothing really stands out to me much before the 2000 end of the 2003, the end of that, when he starts to really get a push towards the title. As a name, he kind of just really starts to grow, and people are making Vince give him his due, kind of like Brian got later on.
Yeah, they reform the Radicals after he breaks up with China. China goes back to DX. Radicals and DX have a feud.
Okay.
Radicals win the feud, and then we have Guerrero going after the Intercontinental Championship, and then we also see the fights or the matches that he has with Benoit when Angle has both titles, and then we have have this merry-go-round of Jericho, Eddie Guerrero,
Benoit,
Chris Benoit. Did I say Kurt Angle? Well, Eddie Guerrero, Kurt Angle, Chris Benoit, Chris Jericho. We have those four guys.
And then you would sprinkle in a Godfather here, or D'Lo Brown, just to kind of spice it up.
Mm-hmm.
But those four were the main matches to make in some way, shape, or form, with titles or no titles on the line.
Go back in '99 and see how many pay-per-view, or 2001, how many pay-per-views aren't
even. You know what? You can even throw Ken Shamrock in some of those matches because he was involved a lot.
Yeah, 100%. So after this, he, like you were mentioning, they wanted Vince to give him his due, and I think they were gearing up to give him his due. But is it the DUI that he gets? He gets released from the WWE in 2001.
He was
for a whole year. He was released for a whole year. 2001, 2002.
I know he had drug addictions, but I thought that was earlier than 2000. No, 2001 makes sense because it would be 2 years later that when he gets his. Well, 3 years later when he wins the title. So yeah, 2001 would make sense. He was released. There was a drug and alcohol thing, and I remember he had gone to rehab. And there's famous videos out there of him and CM Punk in indie matches during his release. I think Rey Mysterio was in one of them.
Yeah, it's crazy. You could see him with Samoa Joe, I think, too.
Yeah, he has some matches out there. If you can find them, he has a lot of independent matches. I want to say it was it could have been steroids, but it was for sure some kind of drug that led to his release, and then he comes back, and I feel like Vince always was going to bring him back because he wasn't going to go to TNA, I don't think, because of the politics at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I think Vince knew what he was doing.
So after his independent scene for the year that he's off, he comes back to Raw April 1st, 2002, attacking Rob Van Dam, which would lead to him winning the championship at Backlash off of Rob Van Dam. I was going to pick this ladder match. I didn't, and I kind of want to go back and watch it.
These guys had I remember a few matches where even I think once it was on Raw, it was it was basically a battle of the fight. they announced like, who's gonna hit the frog splash first? Who's gonna hit it more effectively? Who's gonna use more impact? Like they were really selling the fact that these guys were battling for like the finisher too, which is kind of cool. Like they both had their own take on the frog splash.
So Eddie and Benoit both get moved to SmackDown. Eddie has a feud with Edge, a pretty notable feud with Edge. I think Edge comes out victorious. He comes out with more wins in the rivalry between these guys.
Yeah, 'cause this is when they were really trying to gear Edge for that solo run too.
Yeah,
like, a big one.
yeah. They pair up Eddie and Chavo again, putting them in a tag team thing, and seeing Eddie's willingness to do it and how over the Guerreros got and their whole gimmick that they got. They did a ton of vignettes where the Guerreros would go door to door, or they were lying, cheating, and stealing. They just had some bad. You guys should go back and watch those vignettes. It's some of the best vignettes.
Eddie, like this is Eddie in WWE. This is the one that I really remember when he was doing "We Lie, We Cheat." That theme song was like it was so good. Like, and he sold the character so well. Like he's hey, what's going on? I'm the new neighbor. Just want to introduce myself. And as he walks away, he's got the guy's like watch in his hand or something. Like they that little grin. Like it was so he sold his character so great.
And so just like kind of the Intercontinental Championship and European Championship, the thing that the merry-go-round that they were doing with the individual scene, now it's happening on the tag team scene, and he's able to join in with Chavo now that he's doing this thing with Chavo. So like they actually win the titles a couple times.
Yeah.
Where you have Kurt and Chris Benoit, Rikishi and Mark Henry, Chavo and Eddie, Edge and Christian, the Hardy Boys. You have the Dudleys. You just have a ton of badass tag teams at this time.
Billy and no, that might be a bit later.
New Outlaws, I guess too. I forgot to throw them in.
Yeah, they'd be there. There was, and they were also they would throw in like who the Funaki had a partner, maybe it was. No, I think Taka was still there, but Funaki definitely had two Japanese guys as a partner. They had Rod Van Dam, Booker T and Goldust. Like they had a lot of really cool tag teams. Les Resistance was around. This is the end of the tag team division in wrestling, or in WWE, I should say, until pretty recently.
Mm-hmm. They actually might have only won it once. Now that I'm checking it out, they beat Edge and Rey Mysterio. This is when Rey Mysterio and Edge were teaming up in a weird tag team. but
if he was he with Ray around this time too as a tag team, Eddie?
I think it's a little bit later on because I know Chavo tears something and Eddie has to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Eddie's got to do something about it. And sorry. He they lose it to Team Angle. They hold on to it for a while. Sorry, I couldn't remember what I wanted to say. So if I were to close my eyes and think about it, I see Chavo and Eddie with the titles for a long time because I remember them with the title. I see them like this,
like their tricks, their trickiness to kind of get through matches, kind of deal.
Like I just see them, like I just see it an iconic picture of them both with the title, like that SmackDown title, that blue title that they had for SmackDown. Yeah. That just when I hear Los Guerreros, I just remember that, and I don't remember exactly how long they.
I remember going a lot. If I want to say through the summer and fall, because it was around the winter time that he started getting that solo push again.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say that there was a chunk in the summer where they would have had them. But
finally, because I remember Team Angle debuts, and the Team Angle is the one to take it off of them.
Yeah, because this is around the time where I was kind of missing more than seeing more.
Mm-hmm.
Able to catch more pay-per-views than weekly events. So I remember like seeing it with the title, and I could have just assumed it was because I feel like he had tag titles with other guys in WWE, Maybe that's why I'm thinking that it was an off, like back and forth kind of thing. But
Uh, in July 2003, Eddie wins the United States Championship. It was reinstated, so eventually they get rid of the European Championship. Eventually, they also get rid of the Intercontinental Championship when they later on reinstated as well.
so fucking weird when they did that.
Yeah, so the
Made no sense.
United States Championship is brought back here. I don't know if it was brought back here, but eventually it gets brought back with the flag design. This might have been one of the times here, because I also remember Eddie holding it that one a lot.
Right.
And I don't know if Eddie was the first one to hold it.
No, yeah, because John Cena would get it the year after, and he changed it to the spinner, and then the spinner turned into what you have today. So they might have. I don't know if it was the WCW version, but there was a version before this the spinner one for sure. The spinner dark period. I don't know why they had to keep that spinner title when Austin and The Rock and The Miz and Edge had their own unique title. They always kept that spinner. They never like it. Triple H for that spinner title takes away so much from his career.
Yeah, well
Imagine,
at least
imagine the Undertaker with that title.
dude. At least they made the United States one back to normal.
Yeah.
After Cena dropped that one, they put it back to the ugly flag design.
Orlando Jordan and JBL dropping it into the garbage can, and as it hit the ground, it blew up. It was such a corny fucking segment.
Let's see. So yeah, he United States champion. I don't think anything else really here.
He'll lose it to Big Show. Is that who?
I don't remember, but I do remember that badass brawl that he had with. Was it John Cena in the parking lot? Him and John Cena have a badass match for the United States Championship. It's a parking lot brawl, and they fight.
Oh, I don't know that one.
They fight on a bunch of cars. Did you remember? Yeah, it's Guerrero challenged Cena to a Latino Heat parking lot brawl match. On an episode of SmackDown.
Doesn't sound familiar. I don't know.
Oh, Eddie won because Chavo returned.
Oh, and attacked Cena? Or...
In the parking lot match? I forgot exactly how he came back.
Well, because it's obviously not a DQ if it's a Latino Heat parking garage.
Yeah. So he came back, attacked Cena. But I definitely remember this match. It was pretty brutal. They were going at it. They formed the Los Guerreros again after this, getting the WWE Tag Team Championships.
Yeah, maybe this is why I thought that they had multiple reigns.
This would actually be their third. Yeah, they did have multiple reigns.
Yeah.
Then this is the feud with the Big Show that you were referencing.
Yeah.
Where she gave Big Show the laxative in the burritos. I remember that.
Yeah, I'll never forget. They had the random like security camera footage, and all you just see is the big giant feet in the stall, and it has like that like whoopee cushions. Probably had like 4 or 5 of them just like pumping them at one time, and all you hear is, it's like what the like, oh god, we're going back this way, guys, come on.
I love it. God damn it. Give him laxatives. Put him in the burritos.
Yeah.
He'll shit himself.
Honestly, a lot of the segments that I remember as being absolutely horseshit, when I hear Bruce Pritchard explain Vince McMahon, because I know Vince McMahon, the character, and the businessman when he has to give like an actual like legitimate speech.
Mm-hmm.
But when you hear Bruce Pritchard do Vince McMahon, the creator guy, okay, I can see why they did that, because I can see Vince's voice saying those words like, no, I want to hear it has to be a wet fart.
Yeah.
Like you can just like hear Vince saying that to some guy. He's like, okay, so Paul, you have to have a wet
diarrhea.
fart. It's gotta be rough. Like you can see like. And that's what works so well with Eddie, I guess, in a way, because Eddie was like, I will 100% do that, boss. Like, you want me to do what? Let's go.
Oh, yeah. That
definitely was probably what got Eddie into the title picture. It's like, he'll do anything.
Well, Pritchard mentions that a lot of people were like, "What the hell? Why did they put Eddie with China? Did he have a problem being the B role in this role because China was super popular and over at the time?" And apparently Eddie was like, he brought this up. He's like, "You know what? I'm just gonna make it the best shit I can do, and I'm gonna put the fuck over. Like I'm gonna make this go over." And he did. He just did it to the best of his abilities, and that was always Eddie. He was always 110%.
Yeah, he would do what's best for business. He didn't care.
Yep.
He would sell,
Mm-hmm.
and you can see like with the things and he made the most of it. Like you said, like Mamacita, he sold it so well. This one here, he has to be a prankster. He has to be a trickster. All right, andale, let's go. We gotta move this. We gotta be tricksters. We're gonna sell the shit out of being a trickster, and it pays off because it gets him. You get Eddie Guerrero versus Brock Lesnar for fucks. Like, who would have thought that Eddie, when he was fighting in WCW, would get Brock Lesnar for the title because of how he would sell what Vince wanted him to sell? He did not care. He became the character. He was the ultimate showman. And he made it work no matter what angle you wanted him to play.
Just shit
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Put the laxatives in the burrito. You got it, bud.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Eddie went along. He's like, fuck it, whatever. I'll give Big Show some shit
Any,
burritos.
you think about any angle Eddie Guerrero had to play, WCW character or real life, WWE, any angle they want to sell, like look how legit he would have won Oscars for how deep he took his character, man. Like legit, like he was really, really good. He sold everything perfectly.
Yeah. After this, they go back and form the tag team of Los Guerreros. They lose the tag team championships, and it kind of sends them into a downward, whatever, where Chavo eventually turns on Eddie. And Eddie wins the feud pretty much at Royal Rumble. And I think at this same Royal Rumble, Chris Benoit wins and gets to make his choice to move on to Raw. And this is, which will lead us on, I guess, to the Brock versus Eddie match. But Chris, who wins it first? Eddie does, right?
Sorry,
Eddie wins the title first, then Chris Benoit.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, because it was because Eddie defends against Angle at WrestleMania that Chris wins.
Sorry, I'm high. Yeah, so Brock versus Eddie. This is the match I threw at you right away as soon as we knew we were doing Eddie. I'm like, we're talking about this one.
Well, I remember because we're gonna go even further. We're gonna go back 5 weeks when we first talked, and I said, "Hey, do you want to do a poll for a tag team show next?" Because I had forgot that on that show you had said I want to do Eddie. So you responded right away and said, "I want to do Eddie next week." And I said, "Let's go." So I went onto the page and I put up bat signals into the fans like, "Hey, me and Raph are going to be talking about Eddie Guerrero. I need help on some matches." And the first thing that someone had put up was, "Well, you got to go with Brock."
Yeah.
I'm like, no. Raph's getting the Brock fight. I need everything, any match but Brock, because that's going to be his number one pick for sure. And I'm not taking that one from him because I fully expected you to take this one.
Mm-hmm. And there was really nothing crazy in this match. It was a pretty...
Well, there was one crazy.
Yeah, at the end. It was a normal match. Brock beating the crap out of Eddie Guerrero, treating him like he was treating Rey Mysterio, but Brock is the video game character, belly to bellies.
You know what's funny? Eddie, not to... 15 years ago, it's not a spoiler, but not to spoil anything, during Eddie's title reign, he was always the whipping boy, eh? You go back and you watch every rivalry that he has, Lesnar whips him, Angle whips him, JBL, everyone whips him. Like, he always had to be like that underdog character even when he was champion.
No, you're right. Brock's starts off by yelling at him, telling him that he's not shit. I don't know if those were the exact words. That he's nothing. Brock would land a couple of moves and yell at Eddie, "You're nothing." Eddie would try to mount any sort of offense, land one move, but Brock would just power and muster through it and not let just stuff everything and
it was
anything
a lot
Eddie
of
came at.
that like in the TV show when the little brother finally tags the big brother, and the big brother's like, "The fuck? Okay, fine. I had to go next level." And then Eddie would come back and hands me like, "All right, fine. I'm gonna go next level." Like it was just Brock just putting the beat down on Eddie, and Eddie's selling like a master.
Yeah. The first chink in the armor of Brock is he goes for gorilla press slam on Eddie. Eddie gets out of it and drop kicks Brock's knee. So this is what Eddie's going to focus on to try to stop Brock, or the focus of the match from here on out. After this, Brock misses a knee that he's trying to hit Eddie with in the corner and slams his knee kayfabe on the corner, further extending the injury apparently. And he's on the outside, and Eddie goes and starts trying to work on him on the outside. And finally, now Eddie can get some offense going. Let's see. Yeah, so Eddie starts to work on the knee, but back to Lesnar. He starts hitting the belly to belly, stuffing Eddie's offense, but Eddie starts accumulating more offense in between getting his ass beatings. Locks in a figure four. But then Brock starts getting the offense going, and he starts trying to slow down Eddie just by holding him down, getting him in a headlock, not really focusing on an area to submit him, but just to try to stop Eddie from focusing on his knee. Brock Lesnar hits the F5, but in turn hits the referee with Eddie Guerrero, knocking out the referee. For the longest time I've ever seen a referee being knocked out.
Oh no, so I just had a brain fart. I jumped to the finish there. No, yeah, you're right. Yeah, that was a weird, like, there are some of those ref bumps where the guy just like pap running, like Brock Lesnar running clothesline, hits the referee in the corner, and the referee's out while Brock Lesnar rolls out of the ring, gets a chair, hits him in the head, and the referee's like, "Oh wow." But this one here was just like referee gets hit and he was out. He was
Forever.
like, he was gone. Like Eddie had that steel plate in his leg. Like what the?
I think he was out for the rest of the match. He might have gotten the count, but after.
We'll get to it, I guess.
Well, yeah.
No, it's one of those things where he has to roll to get the count, and then kind of like rolls onto his back, like, "Oh God, how did I have that much energy?"
So refs out. Brock can't get the count. Brock goes for the belt, but in comes Goldberg, spears Brock, and Eddie can only get a 2 count. I don't know if he went for the frog splash. I didn't write it down.
No, he just. I think he just goes for the cover at that point. Just kind of like drapes the arm and gets 2, and then.
Brock goes for the F5, right? But Eddie DDTs him on the gold.
No, okay, definitely a huge mistake. So the belt's in the ring, but if you watch it, when he goes to hit the F5, when he hits the DDT, the belt is like nowhere near, and I don't know if it was supposed to be just the F5 onto the belt.
Oh, you didn't? No. You didn't see what happened? You didn't see what happened? So when he went for the DDT, Brock's hand slammed on the belt, and the shock from hitting the belt vibrated through his whole body.
Oh yeah, so I don't know if the belt was not supposed to be the angle.
Brock's a video game character,
but there was.
Video game science. When you hit a part of the body, it knocks them out instantly.
Yeah, because sometimes they'll have a chair that you think is going to be used to knock one guy out, but it ends up being in a power bomb. The other guy gets hit, kind of shit. I thought at first, like, okay, well, he's going to be an F5 onto the title, DDT as the reversal. Then I went back and watched it like a second. Like, this was not recently. This was like when I first saw the match. I didn't realize that Brock sold that he was hit with that belt. And now all of a sudden that finish was ruined for me because I thought it was just a reversal. When I saw that it was actually supposed to be the DDT onto the belt, I was like, no.
Yeah, they missed it, but
They fucked it. And like I said, like the original way of watching it, I thought, oh, whatever, just hit the reversal and that was it. But when I realized what they were trying to sell is, ugh.
I think we have our first Latino. Oh no, wait, Bruno.
Yeah,
No, Bruno San Martino isn't Mexican.
Italian. No, because they call it
Santana. Fuck, what was it?
Santino Morella.
No, that's Tino Morello.
What? Tito Santana.
Tito
No,
Santana.
No.
What is
No,
he?
he never got world.
Oh shit, yeah.
No, because they said Eddie Guerrero became the first Mexican WWE champion.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're never like Pedro Morales was no Pedro Morales was champion, but maybe he might not have been considered Mexican. Maybe he was like Cuban or Latin American. I don't know maybe it was just American. I don't know. But yeah, they said Eddie Guerrero was the first. He was maybe he was WWF champion, first Mexican. Maybe Pedro Morales was like WWF. I don't know.
I don't remember.
But yeah, no. So yeah, he gets his reign. I love the acceleration with the crowd.
Oh yeah, dude, the confetti.
And I don't know if it's shown on the pay-per-view, but when Eddie Guerrero passed away, they did a tribute video. It was 3 Doors Down, Here Without You.
Mm-hmm.
And during that video, they show the segment where Eddie is holding the title and he walks backstage and he goes into character in a way. He kind of does his his walk, and Vince is there. And because Vince has to impersonate every wrestler, does the walk right back to Eddie and they embrace. And you just see the look in Eddie's face as he meets his boss. He says, you put this on me, like, thank you. And Vince is putting all his faith in this guy. And to see that moment, it's powerful. Like Eddie's got history.
I got a little teary.
Like, give it to him. Like it was whenever I think Eddie Guerrero, that's one of those things. When I hear Eddie Guerrero's name, I always remember that scene of him hugging Vince with the title on his shoulder, and it's just him. It's just them. The crowd's not there. There's a couple backstage guys. The wrestlers that are there are applauding him. It's such a moment, man.
Yeah. Yeah. He's goes on to face Kurt Angle at WrestleMania, defends his title at WrestleMania. Then we got
amazing finish where he has him in the ankle lock and he unties his laces and slips his boot out, and Angle's like, "What the fuck is this?" Swings it out and misses. Eddie hits Angle with the belt. 1, 2, 3.
And then later on that night, we have the incredible moment between Eddie and Chris Benoit, because Chris Benoit wins the
World Heavyweight
Championship, and then the confetti drops for him. He gets his Eddie Guerrero moment, and then Eddie Guerrero comes out, and there's a double Eddie Guerrero moment with Chris Benoit and him.
I'll never forget that WrestleMania moment when they hug and kiss, or they hug with the titles, and they hold each other's arms up, rather. It sucks so much and I get why they won't do it, but it sucks so much that they can't show that because of Chris Benoit. Because that's something, when they show WrestleMania and they show all these big moments, that's one that they need to include. I get why they won't do it, but I fucking wish they would.
Yeah, I get you. But like this one, it only had Eddie Guerrero in singles action.
Yeah,
as a description.
That's it. It's him holding the title, and that's it.
I get it, man, but it sucks. It sucks. Like, and I can't just be like, well, put it apart. Put the rest. It's like, I can do it, but other people are like, fuck that. I don't want anything to do with it. I'm like, well, I can't blame you.
Yeah. Yeah, and I understand it. It's too controversial. It's not as easy as it sounds. But
I'm still kind of like, ugh, sucks.
oh, 100%. I'm happy that I have the memories. I have the matches. I have this and that, and I can go back and see things. So, and it's one of those things that you explain to people that don't know.
You can't
CT,
erase history, but
CT's a bitch. You're gonna take the 1970s Steelers NFL Hall of Fame because of what happened to those guys in the early 2000s and 90s.
Bradshaw says, or no, not says, he has CTE.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many guys in so many sports that have had CTE that are in Hall of Fames. It just sucks that, like, if Benoit had been in beforehand and this was discovered, they'd leave him in. But because people can't associate, they don't understand. I don't want to get too much into it, but it really is one of those things where you forgive people that had CTE, but the people that have it now you don't feel sorry for. It's weird. Like people are like, oh, they're just faking it. They're just saying it because of the studies. But oh, that guy, God, he had CTE. But Chris Benoit, he's like this weird outlier where he had the theory of roid rage murder, and then there's say CTE, and it's like, well, it's we blame he's in that gray where we blamed too much on one thing, and we've stripped him barren because of the actions that we can't forgive and understand it better.
I don't remember if there's any notable feuds before he moves on to the feud with JBL.
I think he probably has another angle match. I don't think they just had the one. Because I think JBL starts for the summertime, so there has to be maybe just an angle, and then the JBL thing starts for the June, maybe. I can't say anything really major.
Yeah, I don't remember anything really too crazy. But yeah, so him and JBL go into a legendary feud that would make JBL. JBL turns into like a Texan that is rich.
He was like a Wall Street,
Yeah, exactly.
a Texan in New York City
That's made it.
who knew Wall Street and made money because it was a real life thing that happened to him.
He interrupts Booker T and Guerrero's title match. That's how he interjects himself into the feud with Guerrero. This would lead to a rivalry, and Eddie Guerrero's mom would have a real life heart attack.
Yeah.
They wanted to make it a kayfabe heart attack, but it actually led to a real one where the physician's like, she's having a real heart attack. We need to get her the hell out of here. And Eddie wanted to kill Bruce Pritchard. This is from the mouth of Bruce Pritchard himself. He said Eddie was like, what the fuck, man? Because they had to take his mom out of there. For real.
They did some like weird thing. Like they had JBL at the border arresting Mexicans or beating them up. They made JBL like such a heel guy. Like there was, I think I told you it was on the JBL episode of Something to Wrestle that they were shooting and Bruce was with JBL where he was supposed to break into this guy's house and attack him, and they're pounding on this door. They're trying to wake this guy up, and Bruce and JBL are met. They break into the house and they're met with a shotgun pointed at their face because they broke into the wrong house. So they explain like, "Oh, we're here for the shoot," blah, 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 the address, and they're like, "This is you want next door? What the fuck?" Like, but JBL had a gun pointed at him. Like anywhere else, he could have been shot to death.
Yeah, 100%.
Like that's like they tried to do this angle so hardcore, and they sold it well, and it was easily Eddie's most legendary feud in WWE.
Yeah, which would lead us into your match.
Oh.
Everyone's match, the people's match.
The most infamous match in Eddie's career, I guess.
Yeah, one of the
in some way.
craziest bleeding matches there is that we can see.
Yeah.
JBL cuts a incredible heel promo that Ryan says this is manifesto. He told me this off air. He didn't want you guys to know, but it's a super really towing the line on racist, saying he's gonna beat Eddie and Eddie's gonna like almost die. I think, and Eddie's mom's gonna have to go live in a. He's gonna put Eddie's mom up to live at his mansion in New York or his place in New York because
Right.
something's gonna happen to Eddie. Like I said, it's a pretty awesome promo. Eddie comes out in his car, and Eddie starts off
They just
super
go.
super vicious. Yeah,
He just goes.
yeah he starts going at him.
A lot of outside gets inside just so JBL can roll back out, but then Eddie just attacks him there. Gets like, and it was kind of cool to see them go one side roll in, one side roll in. It wasn't just like walk around the ring like traditional. Like JBL was trying to get into the ring to escape outside the ring, and they was just following him that way, which is it was a nice little tit for tat.
Yeah. JBL tosses Eddie against the stairs, and that's how he finally gets some offense going, and he takes the advantage over Eddie. Throws Eddie in, and he starts getting finally can get some holds in on Eddie and some ring work. Eddie reverses a power bomb, and the ref gets knocked out in the process of this. The match is longer than what I'm describing it as. They kind of just have a normal match where Eddie's getting a lot of vicious offense off because of the feud they're in.
Yeah, like it's a match that goes almost half an hour, but a lot of it is that opening sequence with their outside the ring, and then, like I said, in and out, like that took a large chunk, and then
so it's a no well, it is. There are disqualifications in this match, so that's why we just have a normal match. It's a good match. It's a very good match.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
but there's nothing really crazy. They kind of save the craziness for the finish.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So once the ref gets knocked out, they're on the outside. Eddie tosses JBL over the ring announce table.
Yeah, and he gets
the
chair.
Yeah, so while he's back there, he kind of grabs a chair. Eddie starts walking over there, and out of nowhere, good doof, he bashes Eddie in the head.
And it was like, that's a rough chair shot.
It was
like
ridiculous.
That cut could almost have been legit. Like it was the impact.
It was ridiculous.
Like it was a hard one to watch. Like when I don't remember being that rough until I watched it this past weekend.
Yeah.
Oof.
And then Eddie bladed pretty bad. He fucked up the blading and cut himself too deep, and instantly red face.
Yeah, like when he looked up, like it's when you looked at when Brett bladed Austin at 13. When Austin turned around, it was like a little cut, and it was just a slow bleed, perfect cut. It looked like a lot by the end because you let it wear on you. But yeah, when he looked up, his face was this gush, and you could. It was one of those cuts where you could see the blood flowing down like in a horror movie.
It looked like Eddie was running in from a storm of blood.
Yeah, like when you watch a horror movie and you see someone get stabbed and you can see the blood, you're like, oh, they never show that in real life. No, this is like, it was brutal.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. JBL tosses Eddie back in, hits some clotheslines from hell, and gets blood all over himself.
I didn't even realize actually at how long he bled for too. I thought he bled for like a short period of time. This match goes on for a pretty lengthy amount for him to be bleeding that heavily.
I'll share a little story that Bruce shared after the match. After the match after we're done talking about it. So yeah, the ref is out, so JBL can't get the 3 count, and a second ref comes out, but he only gets the 2 count on Eddie. JBL trips into the second, JBL gets tripped into the second ref by Eddie Guerrero. The second ref is Little Nate. I forget.
Oh, Charles Robinson.
Yeah. Yeah, so he gets tripped into the second ref. Eddie kicks out of a badass powerbomb from JBL. Eddie does his Latino heat shimmy thing, super bloody, but you can tell it's taking a toll.
Yeah.
He's not selling how tired it is. He's dying of blood loss.
Yeah, he's bleeding pretty rough.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. So since both reps are out, JBL brings in the belt. Eddie low blows him. He drops the belt. Eddie picks it up and just hits him with the belt, and the ref sees it, and it's a disqualification.
Yeah, the ref gets up just in time to see, hey, don't do it, don't do it. He hits him. The ref calls for the bell, 1, 2, 3.
Mm-hmm. That was a epic match.
Amazing match.
Yeah. You guys should go check it out. You guys have seen that video a million times of Eddie just like dead, like with all the blood. So the quick story that I wanted to share is...
Well, it's just I had to get a glass of water.
Okay, go ahead. So Eddie was dying. Well, from the blood loss, they had to rush him to the back. But Eddie's delirious from the blood loss. He's doesn't know what's going on. He's passing out. He's in and out, and he has an IV in him. And he's out of it, but then he comes to, and he starts freaking out, trying to get out of there with the IVs in his hand, just dragging shit away from him, pulling the needles out. Because he was fucked up from just so much blood that he lost. I'm telling you guys, go check it out. It's a nasty blading job that he did to himself by accident. And yeah, pretty dangerous. A little bit longer, and Eddie could have probably died on that one. Eddie could have died. Eddie would eventually lose it to JBL, and JBL would go on for a lengthy title run. Eddie Guerrero made this title run for JBL. JBL, I don't know what else would have gotten him to this point, to be honest. I don't know what other feud he would have been able to be in to elevate him to this, besides the Eddie feud. I think he tries to win back his title from JBL, but Kurt Angle comes in as a Grand Luchador and interferes a couple times to stop Eddie from regaining his belt from JBL, and that diverts us away from JBL, Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah, it finally gives Angle that opportunity to get the losses back.
Mm-hmm. Royal Rumble, I forget what year is this.
This would be 2005.
He comes in at number 1, lasted 28 minutes. He's eliminated by Edge.
Quick story about that. I don't know if you guys remember the segment. They did the spin the ball, and it's him and Ric Flair. And it's like, all right, you guys are going to be the first two to reach in. And they reach in. Ric Flair, big grin on his face. And the girl's like, okay. And it's revealed that Eddie's got, Rick's got number 30, and Eddie's got number 1. So they're talking. And as they leave, Rick goes to show the girls his number, and they're like, ugh. And he's got number 1. Eddie switched his numbers around without him knowing.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like the lie, cheat, and steal gimmick was... There's a whole thing on Raw about Rick trying to chase down Eddie to get his number back.
You gotta lie, cheat, and steal, brother.
Fucking classic Eddie.
It's the best. Let's see. This leads us to our SmackDown gimmick rivalry with Mysterio. It
starts off with Dominic because there was something where like Eddie had never beaten Ray 1-on-1. Like he'd beat him in tag team matches, but never 1-on-1. So there's this whole thing, rivalry starting like where Eddie was jealous of him, and then he revealed that he was Dominic's father or something. There was like a weird,
where he was claiming to be his father, and he wanted to he wanted
Yeah, he was doing all these
custody
things.
or something.
Yeah, and he wanted to like prove that he could beat Ray
So there was
one on
there
one.
was a custody match, yeah, right, in a cage
The
match or
ladder
something.
match. Oh yeah, they had a cage match and they had they had the briefcase on a ladder or a briefcase of a ladder where the winner got to be Dominic's father, if I remember correct.
Mm-hmm.
And Ray wins that match because obviously they're not going to have Eddie like. But eventually leads to the match where Eddie finally beats Ray.
Mm-hmm.
He'd never beaten him one-on-one, and he finally gets the victory on him.
That was the cage match.
Was that the cage one? Yeah, so he finally
September
gets the
9th,
victory.
SmackDown.
Yeah.
This is after this. Sorry to cut you off. You got anything else on there?
No, I was gonna say, yeah, this just kind of like just leads on to like back and forth feuds randomly.
Yeah, he would go on to feud with Mysterio, but then gets named number one contender to go against Batista for the World Heavyweight Championship. And he's given a match with Batista where he loses and kind of plays Batista's friend, and Batista kind of is weary of this. He's like, what the hell's going on with this?
Yeah, doesn't really trust anything that's happening.
You lie, you cheat, you steal, you motherfucker.
Yep.
And I don't really have anything else. There's just kind of nothing really happened.
No, he just kind of goes through not a lot up until nothing I only remember up until like the ECW match.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one. We still have that one left to break down.
Oh,
right?
Yeah, we can breeze with like the last like little bits really fast here.
Well, they kind of just had a standard match, just kind of showing their mat skills because it was a submission match. It was a 10-minute match at ECW One Night Stand. They're both kind of just exchanging grappling offense.
Yeah, and they kind of brought back their ECW days using like some outside chair gimmicks and stuff, getting in and out. Both guys getting in their power moves. Benoit takes a wicked chair shot to the back. Does you get the diving header, you get the frog splash miss, you get the German suplexes.
When I first saw this match, I thought it was gonna be like a 30-minute match. I was surprised it was quick 30 or 10 minutes.
I liked it because it showed how they could tell their story so quickly and get so much in a small like this is when you see. We always complain that certain guys need to get more time in today's WWE. These guys took the time allotted to them and told us. These are why these guys are the legends that they are, like Benoit and Guerrero. Because you see how much they could do in the short time frame that guys today struggle to figure out.
Yeah,
and they got in all their moves, including a missed frog splash and one crippler. They didn't need 4 finishers. They each one missed, one hit, done.
Yeah. So Benoit hits his setup to his finisher. He hits the diving headbutt off the top ropes. Eddie kicks out at 2. They both get up. Eddie goes for the punch, and Chris Benoit reverses it into the crippler crossface. And after a couple seconds, Eddie taps out. Yeah. It was a quick match. It was a quick 10-minute match.
It was a good, It was what you needed. Yeah, so this here will just kind of lead to the end. Not to be that graphic, but no, yeah, this is.
It was the end.
This is it. This is where has a little rivalry with Batista's, like you had said, and they actually said he was gonna be winning the title at that pay-per-view. That he missed out because November 13th, 2005, he was found by Chavo in his hotel room dead of a heart attack.
Yeah. It's really fucking sad. I was watching the memorial thing they did for him on whatever, YouTube. I posted it like 5 weeks ago. But I got a little teary-eyed. It makes me really sad.
Yeah. Yeah, it's he was one of those guys that you always you grow up and you know all these superstars and you don't know about everything that happens in their life, and then we start to actually develop connections to guys when you watch them on TV week after week after week after week, and then in real life they die. You're like, oh fucking shit! like it hits you a lot harder than you actually think it would.
This is my context. I'm not crying, all right?
Yes. No, but
I've been setting it up. I've been telling the story through the podcast. The story was I was gonna start crying at the end, but I've been selling the context this whole time.
No, actually, I was actually like, to kind of like how you had said you were born in the same month as Eddie. On the day he died is my brother's birthday, and we were getting ready to go out for his birthday dinner, and I just went, oh, 1 second, let me check something on WWE. And I went on, it was like Eddie Guerrero found dead. I'm like, what the fuck? And then the next day, my grandmother passed away. I was just like,
Damn.
what the fuck is happening right now? Like, we went from like my brother's birthday joyous occasion to like boom into my like just like wrestling fandom, and then boom in my real life. I'm like, what the like? It was like a whirlwind. Like, so it's kind of weird how you associate Eddie with one thing, and I can actually have associations with him in another way too. Like, I'll never forget Eddie because of my grandmother.
Yeah,
Kind of cool.
I remember the episode, and I remember him dying and everything. I just don't remember exactly what year and everything. Well, now I do because I went back but I don't remember what I was doing or anything. Yeah. So I really don't have anything really else. Well, he's dead, so you know.
Yeah, I mean, he's in the hall. He gets inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Sasha wears his gear sometimes, kind of in memory of him.
He went right to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, deservingly.
Yeah, and then the legacy lives on.
Ryan, we're at 2:45.
How the fuck do I always do this? I said this would be our quickest one because I know nothing about Eddie.
This was our probably most in depth and one of our longer. Well, I wouldn't say longer. Probably, maybe a little bit long. Not too much longer, but longer. But this is our more in depth of them.
Yeah.
Just because we went through his whole career.
Yeah.
He had a fantastic career.
Yeah, he was a legend, and he opened a lot of doors, and he showed what like the smaller guy can do.
Mm-hmm.
He showed he can be ground guy, luchador. There were so many levels of what a man can do in the ring, and he showed you all.
Yeah. Ryan, thanks a lot for joining me. This was an awesome episode. I had a blast. I was waiting to do this one.
Yeah.
Next week we'll do a Halloween Havoc that you choose.
Yeah, let's go. We'll do that 90. I think it's 94. I'll double check, but I'll make sure it's like an hour and a half episode.
No, it's all good. Let me know. I'll watch it and we can break it down.
Yeah, I'll let you know.
Please subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Podbean, YouTube. Leave me a rating on iTunes. That's really the place to leave me a rating. iTunes is the place to go. Subscribe on YouTube for live notifications. Audio drops right after. This one's going to drop probably tomorrow. I got to go to sleep soon. I want to play some Elder Scrolls.
I got to wake up for work in like 4 hours. So.
Sorry, Brian.
Oh, it's my fault. It's all good. I rambled.
Like I said, I had a blast. Please subscribe to the podcast. Tomorrow I will be breaking down AEW. I love you guys. I'd blow all of yous if I could, but I'm not gay, so I won't. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace out. Sayonara. Ta-ta. Chocolate titties.